let's go ahead and get started. And we should be live shortly. I just want to make
Right.
sure we could be heard.
I got refresh right here.
It sounds like we're good. So it's gonna be episode 81, first in frame rates. I'm gonna be honest, man. Last week was a real successful episode, and I want to build on that. And that was that was something I think we took a step further as far as growing the podcast. And like I said, I hope we build on that. Episode 81 of the First and Frame Rates podcast. I am VF Baller, DJ 81 here, Bill's Fourth. DJ 81 has his camera up, make me want to get my camera, but my camera's full is trash. So I need to get another one. I'm not even sure if Bills want to get on camera. I mean, it's whatever. We don't have a problem with it. It's just that, like I said, with just evolution, we're growing the podcast. We may be doing extra things with it. So, got a lot of stuff stacked for the day. Not only what we see in the top in the description, actually other stuff we're going to dwell into as well. But as far as I go, I had a great week. Everything's been good. Nothing special's been going on. Bills, what about you? How you been doing?
I've been doing all right. The second half of the week's the second half of the second I should say the second half of this past week has been a bit better than the first half. But we're just pushing on through and excited to work on the second track in a couple months. I can't release the first one because my manager is putting some restrictions on some things that I'm doing. So I know a lot of people wanted to hear it, but unfortunately, you're gonna have to wait, and hell, you might hear it on the radio before you hear it from me directly. So that's just how things are sometimes, unfortunately. But I'm learning more about the business. I'm learning more about how to manage my career and my time and when I release things. So it's all a process. But I can't complain.
Okay. I mean, listen, it's not about how you start; it's how you finish. So, every day is not going to be a good day, but at the end of the day, or further down the line, you grow from it and keep pushing. What's up with you, DJ?
Nothing much. Been just playing No Man's Sky. I know it sounds like a broken record. Every time I get on here, I'm talking about playing No Man's Sky, but I can't get enough of it. It seems like it's always something to do while playing that game. And just, monitoring Twitter, going throughout the day. And first week of our rec league, I scored we played a doubleheader this past Sunday in our rec league football. It was like our season opener. Scored 2 touchdowns in the first game. And then the second game opened up with a long bomb, but tweaked my ankle on the first play of that game. So I didn't play for the rest of that game. So we won both games. So the week started off good, and it's just like, it keeps rolling. Got the Redskins getting ready to play their last preseason games, just like every other team is about to. So no starters on the field. Excited to see RG3 back at FedEx Field. See how that goes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to watch this Clemson Georgia Tech game while we're talking. I'm just going to have it just streaming in the background because for me, I've just been more gravitating towards college ball.
You gravitating?
Yeah, gravitating, moving towards. Okay. I don't know. The NFL is cool, but it hasn't grabbed me this year like it has in the past. But nevertheless, maybe that could be another topic for another day. Anyway, we have a lot of stuff going on. Terrible takes. Obviously, we'll be talking about how people felt about Andrew Luck's retiring, and the takes that some of these clowns put out there about how they feel about it. Bills wanted to talk about the NFL and NBA, how they're growing with different rules and regulations, and is it taking a step back? Is it going forward, or is it benefiting everybody, or is it benefiting a few? Shaq and Kobe, that's another thing me and Bills wanted to talk about as far as how they feel about each other and how other people are pretty much are taking that to heart. Kind of go back to the terrible takes thing. And I added the thing about sim gaming because I know in my last video when I did one when I was actually on camera talking about how it was burnt out or just not really feeling the newer titles. Not saying that they're bad, it's just that I feel like the games are more of a chore than actually a leisure time, enjoyment. But I want to get my co-host, I want their thoughts on that as well. So we'll talk about that I know DJ didn't really much add anything to the topics, but so he's going to ad lib a few things.
Wait a minute, hold up. I thought I did. Not what we wound up talking about afterwards when the conversation
I know
left, but just on the surface, I think there was something.
I mean, whatever it is, I mean, that's what I was saying. For you, I mean, that's where the ad libbing comes in. Whatever you want to add to it, I mean, we're all for it. Because I mean, you know, it just don't stop just based on what we see on the screen as far as the actual topics. I mean, so it's all good. Everybody who's here, we appreciate it. Don't ask much, but hit the like button. We're actually growing, and we've been seeing it throughout the last 3 or 4 episodes. We're well getting over 110, 120 views. It may not sound like much in the grand scheme of things compared to other people's podcasts, but when you see what we're doing, like DJ said before we got on, we're a niche. I think we're a niche podcast because we're not doing what everybody else do. And with that being said, for the support that we're getting, we really appreciate it, and spread the word. Absolutely. Spread the word.
And for that one person that keeps coming and disliking our videos, you can eat a bag of dicks.
Exactly. For no reason. But either else, we don't like the fact that you dislike it, but it does garner engagement from other people. Every dislike, every like does bring awareness to the channel. So there. Anyway, before we start, you know, I'm going to put my little banner up. You know, down in the description, I have a link to Intro Champ where you can get an intro for your YouTube channels and or your live streams. You can check those out. Link in the description. We get a kickback for every intro that you purchase. So it does help out the podcast in the long run. So there you go. Link is in the description. Intro Champ.
Didn't know I was playing NBA 2K17's my career.
I know, right?
Let me stop.
And also, you can catch us on iTunes and SoundCloud. So if you're not necessarily catching us live, or you're catching us on YouTube after we're live, you can download this to your device and you can listen to us without having YouTube in the forefront burning up your data. Because even though you may have unlimited data, you may have a bad battery in your phone or your device, and you don't want your phone to die because you're streaming. Nevertheless, I think it's something else I missed. Oh yeah, I did put in the bid to get on Spotify, so hopefully I'm waiting for them to get some feedback. They did say within, you know, I think it's 7 or 10 days or something like that. So hopefully if I'm on Spotify, if we're on Spotify, you will see the link in the description for that as well. Bills.
Yo.
What's up with these takes, man? In general, not just this Andrew Luck thing. What's up with these terrible takes these people be putting out on social media on these god awful, used to be enjoyable TV shows and the agenda that they're trying to push? Let's start with the Andrew Luck thing as far as the takes, not his actual retirement, because we pretty much got that out of our system.
So I think what's funny, I was talking to my mother like literally a couple hours ago on the phone about this, and it's funny where like this generation has changed, and in this generation everybody feels like their opinion is valued, and quite frankly we need to get to the point where people who have nothing valuable to add to the conversation get sent back to the corner where they should be, because quite frankly, while this country wants everybody to feel like their opinion's valued, quite frankly it's not. So when you have people like Doug Gottlieb,
that guy
that comes with these outrageous takes every so once in a while, you know, because he hasn't ever gotten over, you know, that credit card fraud that he committed a long time ago. He wasn't good enough to hack it in the NBA. So he has to go and make horrible takes like that and say stupid shit on Twitter. And quite frankly, his opinion is not valued. So I think when we get to, you know, like First Take, and we've talked about this, you know, they obviously have these shows queued up so one side can feel one way and the other side can feel the other way. But the thing is, they don't have organic debates because they don't work. The history of these debate shows, it shows that organic debates don't work because you can't get two people with equal knowledge on, you know, your television screen and enjoy a show like that. It very rarely happens. That's why Max Kellerman got made out to be a buffoon after his first couple of days on the job at First Take. That's why Shannon Sharp got made out to be a buffoon his first couple episodes on Undisputed, the same thing. Because when you add a professional athlete and somebody that's more like-minded to a logical person like Max Kellerman, when you add those two to shows with Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith.
And wait a minute. And for all intents and purposes, not to bash on Shannon Sharp, Stephen A., he's logical, but he got roasted by Max Kellerman. Vice versa. Skip says dumb shit, but he's actually a smart guy. And I don't know if that makes sense.
See, what the thing is, when Max first came, a lot of people don't know this. When Max first came on the show and they were just debating straight up, there was no over the top. It was straight up, just debating back and forth. Max was destroying Stephen A. Smith because Stephen A. Smith only has one topic that he's well versed in, and that's basketball. Whatever else they talked about, Max destroyed him.
Right.
And then on the other hand, with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, of course they can't discuss football and be on a level playing field because Shannon Sharp is a Hall of Fame tight end and Skip Bayless is somebody who covered the Bulls and other basketball teams. And he's a fan of the Cowboys.
Right. And the only thing Skip is really good at and is not that good at as far as college football because he's so old and been around. But when it comes to NFL, he gets schooled every day.
So the thing is, we get to this line where Jalen Rose created this line in the sand. Where do you go from an analyst who knows a lot to somebody who didn't play and you don't know shit? Because there's a line there. And Jalen Rose kind of drew that line in the sand with Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless was saying crazy shit. This is why they never let Jalen Rose back on first taking that environment again. Because Jalen Rose came on and questioned Skip Bayless's credentials to be criticizing dudes like LeBron and criticizing dudes in that manner. Maybe he wasn't privy to the fact that show was all about personalities and fake takes and all that shit. But he came on and he questioned Skip Bayless. He called out his stats in high school.
I mean, he basically exposed the entire show.
He exposed him.
He not just him, but the entire show as a whole. I mean, the show is about basically the show is about debating fake outrage.
Yes.
That's basically what it is.
And they have topics, where they agree because those are minor topics that are inconsequential. They're just filler for the rest of the show. But when you have a situation where LeBron is a topic, or you have a situation where, Max's new thing is Tom Brady, when you have Tom Brady as a topic, you already know what is going to go left. So that it just, in this day and age, people say shit, and it's not just on those shows, it's on social media too. People just say things for buzz. They just want a reaction. And that's the issue. We don't get any real takes anymore because motherfuckers half the time don't know what they're talking about. And the other half, they're just saying shit for buzz and reaction. And that's what more times than not you get on these shows and on social media. Just like Max Kellerman said, James Harden, what did he say? He wasn't a top 5 shooting guard in the league, and
something like that. A few months back or something like that.
It's like they say these things because it gets eyes on their product. That's why you bring somebody like Ryan Hollins on the show and he says crazy shit, and people say he's dumb, but he's not dumb. He knows what he's talking about. He's had a great view from the bench for however many years he sure as hell hadn't played. So he's had a great view from the bench, and he can see what players are great and what players aren't. But he's not saying that shit on the show because that's what he really thinks. He's saying it because it brings ratings. People come back the next week. What's he going to say dumb this week? That's what it becomes.
I mean, I know you expanded on exactly what you wanted to talk about when it comes to that.
Yeah.
The terrible takes. I mean, it's prominent that a lot of these people and people's attention spans are so short. They feed into this type of format when it comes to TV shows or whatever. I mean, it's so small, it's so small-minded that it makes millions of dollars, and it sucks because you're dumbing down your audience, in my opinion.
Well, and then you also have people who, unfortunately, they go to, Skip and Stephen A as like a news source for what's going on in the league. I'm like, how can you possibly do that? How can you tune into First Take and Undisputed respectively and think I'm going to learn something today? Unless it's with one of the guests that comes on the show or Shannon because he's played. But with Skip and Stephen A, it's like, I don't learn anything listening to them. I just see them acting like buffoons because they have to cater to the crowd that comes to see personalities. It's like, it's funny because we pride ourselves, and we say this all the time. On this show, we don't do any of that fake bravado bullshit. We don't put on a mask before we come on this show and act like we're some type of crazy character. We're not handed a gimmick before we plug in our mic. That's not what we do. If we get into a debate on here, we get into a debate because we genuinely disagree, and in the end, we say agree to disagree. But them, it's like it's a huge blow up, and they fake walk off set and all that. It's like, come on, bro. Like, none of us are gonna go and let me hit end call real quick and then come back all dramatic. It's corny, bro.
All right. When we come back to that, I want to get DJ's thoughts, and then I'm gonna pull up these 2 tweets from these clowns about Andrew Luck, and we're gonna get into that as well. So, DJ, what do you take about these terrible takes? A lot of these analysts be taking all the time.
See, I kind of expect terrible takes from the analysts, especially the ones with no professional experience in the sports that these takes are on. Mm-hmm. It's the athletes that are either free agents that are not going to get picked up, or players that have been playing in the league for quite some time that I'm kind of shocked at these terrible ass takes. Yeah. When I can't remember exactly. I know that there was a time where, like, what was it? Skip and what's the name? Where Stephen A. Smith were off for a little bit, so you had. Who's that backup center? See, I don't even know. I don't even care. I
know Marcus Spears is on there a lot.
Yeah, wow. But there was it was the other guy that
Ryan Hollins.
Yeah, him. He was the main one I would focus on because he had some of the worst takes. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, so this is why you're out the league, because you don't know anything about the people that you're playing against. That's why you don't get signed. That's why, like any other players that make dumbass statements, former players that make dumbass statements, you wonder why you're out the league is because you don't know shit about basketball, football, whatever, and you didn't even prepare properly. That's why you were if you were a starter, you got relegated to the bench while you played, and you got cut, eventually traded or whatever, found yourself at the end of the bench. Even the water boy was probably sitting closer to the coach than they were.
Yo, real quick, there's another guy we're forgetting. Fucking Rob Parker is one of the worst. One of the worst offenders of this.
A man called RG3. He was the guy that called
a cornball brother.
Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah, he called him a cornball brother. Like that. First of all, that has nothing to do with sports. So why are you even mentioning that?
Yeah, that's like it's funny. It's like a reverse stereotype of an educated black man. You gonna call him a cornball? That's stuff that you get clowned on for being in the streets. And I don't think Rob Parker has been in the streets any day in his life.
Now here's my thing, right? Okay, now from Stephen A. Smith, it probably would have been funny if he was saying it in jest, right? Coming from Rob Parker.
Yeah, because I was saying we know where Stephen A. coming from most of the time. So
Rob Parker, have you heard his voice? Oh, you Skip! Shut the fuck up! You're calling somebody.
Tom Brady is not that good.
Right. Like listen to him, and he calls somebody a cornball brother. Okay, all right.
To me,
he be having them little small bow ties on and shit.
Right.
God. He'd be out on the street next to IMV Gaming selling bean pies and suits. So,
well, I ain't gonna say speaking of them. All right, but we'll get into that after this title. About as far as IMV, because I haven't heard from the guy. I'm going to tell you what I know. But anyway,
I think
let's look at these 2 tweets that these guys put out. First, I want to look at Rick Kamala. This clown used to be on 92.9 The Game, and he decides to, him and this other guy that was on there, they get booted. 92.9 The Game.
That clown used to be on NBA 2K, NBA TV too, and he squandered that.
Yeah, no, they had 92.9 The Game is a phenomenal radio station in Atlanta. Even though I've moved from Atlanta, I still listen to it to this day. Great show. But those I never listened to their show or whatever the case may be, and I'm glad that they were going, to be honest. But this is what this clown said. Let me pull up the screen. So even though the people who are not here, I can go ahead and read it out and let everybody know what it says. When Andrew Luck, his retirement came out, he basically said, Andrew Luck is mentally worn down. Are you kidding me? That's weaker than Antonio Brown helmet beat. There's a difference between retiring and quitting. What a joke. You don't realize that on the surface, I can understand what people are surprised. But when you really understand what he's going through with his injuries, it makes sense. And for him to know that the mental side aspect of him retiring is there, you still make this comment. What the fuck is wrong with you?
This is coming from Rick Kamler, the person who, even with tenure at NBA TV, was relegated to Summer League each and every year and never got anywhere past that after a certain point because he has zero personality and he's not great at what he does. He's almost an afterthought. And he has the nerve to talk about somebody who's the opposite of an afterthought. That's the thing. These motherfuckers who couldn't throw the football back to their dad with a tight spiral, they want to sit and talk shit about players who are giving their heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears on the field, on the court, on the ice, wherever it is. And it's just nauseating, bro.
All right. I mean, it's one thing to be a true analyst and say, hey, I think this. Hey, I think that. But for you to just call out somebody that you're questioning you're questioning the acumen or the talent that they've been displaying ever since they've been probably 4 years old is absolutely left field and is asinine. And I don't understand how people like this get away with it, and they continuously want to, watch these people, or listen to these people. Now I'm gonna flip over. Well, Kamala, he put down his tweet because he realized he was getting roasted, and he didn't want no more of that smoke. DJ, what are your thoughts about this particular tweet?
Well, this tweet just reminds me of what I see talked about against athletes that don't do what is normally asked of them, and that is continue to put their body on the line, even though they're on their last leg or whatever. The fans, analysts, they question when a player is like, you know what, I had enough. And it's almost like a little bit of a slave owner mentality coming from folks like Rick, other Doug Gottlieb, people who don't view these athletes as human or whatever. Because I can tell you firsthand, after a while, everything you get worn down. And if I was a professional athlete, and let's look at the injuries I've gone through personally. I can only attest for my own injuries, but I can relate it to like the pros and stuff like that. I've had, let me go down the line. I've had 5 concussions. I've twisted I've sprained both my ankles, my right one severely. I was in a car accident. So I had a bone bruise in my right knee, in which I took a year to come back. It took 2 years for me to come back and then the mental aspect of trying to come back from that, to have the confidence to be able to do what I need to do to feel like I'm contributing to a team, and constantly getting hurt as I got older, the injuries became more frequent. So you have to get in that mindset to build everything back up, because that injury just tears everything down. And you go through that enough, at some point you're going to question whether it's worth it.
Yeah, you're gonna start questioning yourself, because you know what you're going through, and not only you think you're letting other people down, you're letting yourself down, because you lose somewhat confidence, especially if the process of getting better is slower than you would think it'll go.
Yeah, and then, like I said, with these comments from people that don't have that, the moment somebody yells at them, they will quit in a heartbeat. Like, I'm not being treated fairly on the job. Well, tough. You're gonna have to deal with it. His boss, probably, whoever he or she is, probably comes down on this person because they don't get enough views or clicks, so they got to say something like this. And how many times do they have to fake it until they realize, you know what, this isn't fun anymore? Right. Everybody comes to that point.
Rick Campbell was still bitter because he couldn't make his junior high school basketball team. And now he takes it out on every professional athlete who has a finer woman than his, can maintain a job, and actually has a fucking brain. And that's the sad part about it, is it's always an inferiority complex when it comes down to these idiots talking that shit. It's always an inferiority complex.
Well, let's flip to the other guy who made a made a really stupid ass comment. This tweet is still up though.
This is worse.
Yeah,
this definitely actually feeds in more to what I just said.
Right.
It's the fact that rehabbing is too hard.
Yeah.
Doug probably, has never scraped a nail in his life. It's just like you don't know until you have not one, not two, not three, not four, not five. Andrew Luck, people think you come to the pros fresh. No, you don't. People come into the pros already beaten up from years and years of football, starting with the youth league.
No, yeah, I'm saying some people have injuries that linger from maybe at the least junior high.
I mean, let's be honest. It was reported that Andrew Luck honestly could have died on the field with that ruptured spleen.
Yeah.
Lacerated spleen.
So once again, if nobody knows what everybody should know what Doug Gottlieb said, but if you did,
at least now.
Yeah, it's like basically said retiring cause rehabbing is too hard, is the most millennial thing ever. Now you're talking about a guy who decided to steal his roommate's credit card.
Right, is committing credit card fraud not one of the most millennial things ever? Even before millennials came about, like what the fuck are we talking about right now? Like he benefits from millennials because they listen to his podcast through all these different outlets. When Colin Cowherd doesn't feel like coming to work, Doug Gottlieb actually sprints up and gets some fucking importance in his life, and the show still says Colin Cowherd with Doug Gottlieb sitting in because that's how unimportant he is. He doesn't have his own fucking show because he's a loser. He was a loser in basketball. He was a loser when he stole a credit card because he probably called his mom and asked for money and she said, "Get the fuck out of my face." He probably called his dad and he said, "I'm halfway down a fucking bottle of scotch right now. I don't want to hear your fucking mouth." And then he said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna steal this credit card and go buy a bunch of insignificant shit because it's like, what the fuck, bro? Like, seriously.
I don't have anything to add to what he said. I mean, it's just one of the worst things that you can say for someone who's basically gave this all on the football field. No telling how many injuries that has not been reported that Andrew Luck probably suffered. And you got people like this who say
think about Boogie Cousins.
I think right about now nobody wants to even bring him up.
But no, not now. I know.
Yeah.
If we keep it strictly basketball, it's like torn Achilles.
Yeah.
Then his abductor muscle, right, went at the wrong time. Now a torn ACL. Right. It's like how many times, and especially that's another thing. It's not like these are average players. These aren't middle of the road players. These are top players at their position who now have to question every time they have to rehab. Am I going to get back to where I was? Am I going to get back to that level that I was at? Is it even worth it for me to try?
And even if they're physically able to do it, the mental side of it may be stopping them.
Yeah, that's the biggest toll is the mental side. Like I was saying about mine, to have injuries on the field mentally for me is one thing. I understand that, it was my play or somebody else's play on the field that caused my injury. But if it's something that happens off the field that's more serious, not only am I dealing with the fact that, I got to rehab this injury, I had to deal with the fact that I almost died. So Andrew Luck has that playing in the back of his mind. I almost died on the field playing for these fools, and they want to shoot because the next terrible take is coming from the fans. And somebody was offering an excuse of why the fans reacted the way, and
it was Mills.
Yeah, trying to alleviate the fact that the fans. That was their initial reaction. When I was like, in this day and age, that's not their initial reaction. They've had time to sit on their devices, read and process everything right then and there, and then just proceed with the booing. It wasn't like it was a spatter of boos here and there. It was in unison. Everybody was booing him as he continued to walk off the field.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. That's a good point, because if it was something like very reactionary, they would have booed as soon as they read it. They waited for him to walk off the field and go into the locker room for them to do that. So they knew exactly what they were doing. So don't give me this. these grown ass people, and I'm talking about kids too, because some kids may do this. And I'm talking about kids at least 12 or older. Don't give me that they can't comprehend right away what's going on and can't think, and they're going to just boo as soon as they read something. If that's the case, go ahead.
Here's what makes Mills' takes even worse was the fact that I asked him, okay, so how is that any different since you're talking about knee-jerk reactions? I asked him, what about when a player from the opposite team gets hurt and the fans initially cheer? Are you going to use that same logic?
And that happens in Philly a lot.
And he
honestly.
said,
and they do it with their own players too.
Yeah. So. I mean, let's remember Matt Castle got hurt in Kansas City. They cheered. Oh my God. And then people made the excuse, well, no, they're just happy that another quarterback's coming in. Bullshit. If your initial reaction is to be a cunt, then you need to look at yourself and realize that that is so inappropriate to cheer regardless of what team he's on. Toronto, when KD went down, they cheered.
Yeah, that and Golden State.
I mean, that's just
the same thing. Who went down on the opposing team and Golden State fans started cheering?
It might have been Kawhi when he got hurt.
Right, it could be. I mean, it happens everywhere, but we know people know what the hell they're doing. This is not. We're not dumb to say, oh, they read it and they waited for him to walk off the field and then they started booing. And you're gonna tell me that's an initial reaction? That's bullshit.
No, it's not an initial reaction.
Let's flip this. I'm gonna let you go one more time, DJ. But let's flip the other part of Andrew Luck's situation. Not only he had to go through all those injuries and rehab from them. Do you know that in most cases they are using drugs to make themselves feel better? Not to saying that something like that could happen to him.
That's a good one.
Right. Not to saying that it took him to a really bad place, but when you take muscle relaxers, you take things to take the pain away, that can cause depression in some cases. And when I saw him, it's addictive as well. And when I saw him on the podium talking about his retirement, you can look and tell to some extent those drugs did something to him because he looks worn down. He looked kind of beat up. He looked like he was tired and he didn't even play that night.
Did y'all see Gronk?
You know what? That's a perfect segue because he even tells you exactly what he's been going through with his injuries.
Gronk threw me off because I've never seen him show that type of emotion.
I had a clue because my clue was he was showing out way too much to appear. I didn't 100% know. It just felt like to me it was a clue. All the stuff he was doing, he was being outwardly, positive and so on and so on. And unfortunately, when you think back to Robin Williams, I mean, he committed suicide. He did a lot for everybody, but to show that he was living the life or whatever. But
when I knew when people are going through things, they do stuff like that to try to cover up what's really going on.
But that's the thing. Like I knew Gronk's true struggle, but to see him
actually
break down the way he did, and that's coming from one of the most fun-loving guys, it just shows you that it takes a toll on you, and you have to show up to work every day with a fucking smile on your face to try not to be a distraction to the rest of your team, to not try to be the one to bring the mood down in the locker room. That's hard.
But you also got to understand, you're trying to put on this face for the fans. You got to understand, you have an agent, you have a marketing manager that tells you, look, to keep your brand up, you got to put the smile on your face for the fans so they can continue to buy your jerseys, buy your other stuff, buy things that you're invested in. So with all that's going on, it's tough for them to keep that up when you're constantly in pain. You have to take painkillers. You're going to get hit when you go to practice. You're going to get hit when you play these games. No telling, like, you're just at home at the practice and you bump into a wall or something when you walk around the corner. That might trigger the injury that you had at the game or whatever.
Well, and let's add another caveat. Think about the players who said before CTE was a huge thing, yes, I went back into the game knowingly not feeling right because I was afraid to lose my job. They were talking about trading Gronk last year.
Lose your job. Once again, there for your fans, there for your teammates, there for your family, there for yourself, because you have the pride that you want to play this game.
Yeah.
So it's so much. So you got people like Gottlieb and Kamala and a couple other fools and these clown ass indie fans. You have all this stuff all going on. It's like they don't get it. They don't like all three of us played sports. We're not on a high level, but we played sports to the point we know how the body works and how it can get run down just by playing one game on the field.
Of course.
Let alone playing, your whole life. There are times our first game we ever played, I'm pretty sure we all had a bump and bruises like, what the fuck are we doing on this field?
I mean, I've seen another example of players getting booed with Gordon Hayward here, who tore his fucking ankle apart, just off the, and everybody, well, he's not the same guy. How can you expect him to be?
Right.
I mean, he came back and had to be a main focal point of this team, and he wasn't ready. So it's like that takes a lot of mental stability to fight through the doubt and to fight through all of the haters that are throwing all kind of shots at you, and to meet expectations that teams automatically have for you once they even hear you're ready to start running again, non-contact. I mean, the expectations automatically come back as soon as they find out you're even the smallest bit healthy.
I think Doug Thomas said it very well. I mean, I put it out on the screen. They think these athletes are machines. They don't give a damn how they feel. They want them to go out there and get fantasy points for them. They want to help their team win a Super Bowl. They want to sit here and so they can brag to their friends at the water cooler at their bullshit ass job about how their favorite player just went for 300 yards. They don't care about how they really, really feel. It's ridiculous. Shout out to Doug Thomas. Appreciate you coming by. Thanks for everybody else who's come through. Miss Cute Ladybug. You're down there in Florida, from what I.
Yeah, she's in Tampa, and they got Dorian Gray.
Oh yeah, she said they run out of gas already. Wow.
Yeah, because I checked that out on CNN. Yeah, CNN is the main news organization that's talking about as Category 4. So they trying to be weather terrorists down there.
Weather terrorists.
Yeah,
terrorists.
I'm gonna go ahead and flip before we go to about the rules of the NBA or NFL. Or you want to talk about? I think Shaq and Kobe is a great segue to these horrible ass takes. So we'll jump to Shaq and Kobe. But first and foremost, I talked to the guy who's supposed to be getting sued by IMV Gaming. Matter of fact, he was supposed to be on episode 79, and we decided because of the fact that he had a legal situation going on, we decided not to put him on the show because of any ramifications of what he may say or may not say, what we may say, what we may not say. We don't want to get pulled into a lawsuit, even though we're not involved in it. And I know that the guys from IMV do not like us for what we've done in the past about what we said about their quote unquote game. So we thought it was just in the best interest not to put him on. Last week, well, the same time he was supposed to be on the podcast, he apparently had some conference call with IMV, which I actually thought was kind of odd that he had some type of conference call with them. And ever since then, nobody has heard from him. I don't think he has actually tweeted. He hasn't emailed me back. I haven't seen him in the DM. I haven't seen anything about him. So I don't know if IMV got to him or if they're settling, or maybe they showed him a game and he's flabbergasted that he's speechless. So I don't know what's going on. So we could talk about that really, really quick before we jump to Shaq and Kobe. Bills, I want your thoughts about that situation for the fact that the guy who's being sued by IMV has not said a word since.
Bro, I'm sorry. I'm seeing Jimmy's Famous Seafood Twitter account right now going at somebody hard.
I was thinking about that earlier.
They're always going at somebody.
Yeah, man.
Bro, this dude said wrong again, fat boy, but since we're
sharing he's still calling him fat boy?
Yeah, he said this is the latest one. He said, wrong again, fat boy, but since we're sharing photos, want us to post one of our line cooks running the train on your old lady.
Oh,
bro. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's Jimmy's Famous Seafood here in Maryland, Baltimore's own.
God damn.
Whoever has been running their Twitter handle, you're gonna have a future potential customer in me. I have to check out.
I
have to check them out.
So what was the question?
Okay, wait. Here it was. Okay, here was the original tweet because this person Will C was like, McDonald's filet of fish looks more appetizing because Jimmy's Famous Seafood had put out that they were going to put out their version of a chicken sandwich that's laced with crab meat. So that even sounds delicious with crab meat, and knowing that Maryland's good for seafood.
Right.
And it's like when he said that, Jimmy's responded by, "I heard that's what you served at your guests at your white trash wedding, fat boy." So yeah, that was the first I saw of it. So they still going at it. They have a history of going at people. They don't give two fucks about anything and anyone. And it's boosted their business. So more power to them.
All right, so Kobe and Shaq. What was the question you asked?
No, the question was about the guy who's being sued by IMV.
Shit.
He's MIA now since they had a talk or two with each other.
Oh, plea deal got copped.
You think so?
Oh, you already know a settlement is at the very least in the works.
That's what I'm thinking too, and I'm actually trying to look him up now.
So why would you think there'd be a settlement? You think because he's been sold on a game, or they trying to buy him out because of a bad PR that they don't have a game, or
because we've already talked about the fact, and DJ made a great point about this the first time we talked about it, which is that when you go into a lawsuit, even if you're suing him, everything has to come out on both sides.
It's called discovery.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing.
Like, you got to reveal that you don't have a game.
Exactly.
Pretty much what's going to happen. It was like, and the judge would be like, "So why are you suing up for damages? You don't have a game out." I'm like, "Are you selling anything besides bean pies?" I'm like, "It may damage those sales, but I just mean that's it." And no one cares. No one gives a goddamn about bean pies anyway. So.
All right. Oh, I was just curious about it because I haven't heard anything from him. He hasn't tweeted or anything. So I just wanted to throw that in there real quick because people have
hush money.
Yeah, because people have been asking about, what's up with them in that lawsuit and stuff, but nothing. Anyway, Kobe and Shaq, Bill, you want to lead that off?
All right, so for those of y'all who don't know what's going on, basically Shaq and Kobe went at it again a couple days ago. Kobe was on some sort of live Q&A, I want to say, and the person, the interviewer, basically asked him, said, what would Shaq be if he put in as much work in the gym as you? And he said Shaq would be the greatest of all time. He also said that he would have 12 rings if Shaq put in the effort that he did in the gym. So, everybody's been going crazy about this on both sides. Some people think, and then I have to give you the retort. Shaq said, well, we would have won against Detroit if you passed the damn ball. So, they squashed it. I think this is just two dudes retired being bored. Nothing much came of it, but, of course, everybody else made it out to be something way bigger than it really was. So.
You know what's funny? Even then, when they were supposedly beefing, I didn't think there was much out of that anyway, because what good would it do to openly beef when they were winning championships together? They're two, Shaq isn't in the Hall of Fame yet, right?
No.
Okay, so it's just like we had two future Hall of Famers that.
I think he. Hold on, go.
I don't think he's in yet. I don't think he's not in yet.
I don't think he's in yet.
I'm confident that he's not in yet. But you got two guys that they're two alphas. I'm like, if it appears to be a beef, it's only for a short second because they know how far they can go and then they back off for the good.
Shaq is in.
He's in? Okay.
Yeah, he's in.
Yes.
2016, I think.
Oh, Shaq's in?
Yeah, I haven't remembered the speech or
He was one of the people who went in when they changed it from 5 years to 3 years, I believe.
Oh, okay. So he got in due to timing.
Yeah.
Okay. But even so, they know enough to snip at each other. It's just like two like the husky dogs in the dog sled. I'm like, there's always a hierarchy, and they both are alphas. They'll snip at each other, but then for the better of the race, they will carry their driver. So
Kobe also said there was one game in the playoffs where late in the game he knew Shaq couldn't shoot free throws. Kobe said he kept chucking up shots. Shaq got to the bench and asked him to start passing the ball. Kobe said, hell nah, you better chase after it if you want the ball. So, I feel like there was a lot of this going on when they played. I mean, I don't doubt it. Just an example of two really great players who they had great success even without really being, the best of friends because they were just that damn good. And then once they got to 2004, it seemed like things were so bad, just so incredibly toxic. And then you add Gary Payton and that rapist Karl Malone into the equation. And but no, you add those two players in and it gets even worse because then that's two more egos. I mean, one huge ego with Gary Payton, not so much Karl Malone, but one huge ego with Gary Payton, and then you already got Kobe and Shaq fighting for who's the alpha dog. I mean, they were fighting for who was the alpha dog back in 2001, for Christ's sake. They had that issue during the season. So, I mean, what would happen if they actually played a strong team from the Eastern Conference in the finals? It makes you wonder.
Right. I mean, my take from it, I feel like there's always been tension, but from what I see is like it's good to see them grow from it. They look like they're pretty cool about it now. I don't think it hurt either other or its legacy. It's just that I feel that to a sense Kobe probably was right. If he did take more time, they would have probably had more rings. I mean, even Shaq said it himself. He said, "Look, I'm lazy because I know I got this kid that's going to go all out." So I don't knock them. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. It's just they acknowledge what it is.
But see, I disagree. I don't think they would. I think they might have had one ring. I think they might win that Detroit series. But let's say they win that Detroit series. So then that gives them four in, I guess that would be 5 years. Because the only one they didn't win was 2003. So they win that one. Now they got to go play LA in 2005, right? I mean, they got to go play the Spurs in 2005 with Ginobili and Parker and Duncan. They might not have even beaten them. Then for sure Shaq's out after that. So whether Shaq was in shape or not, I don't think affected things too much because either way, eventually they were going to have to separate. It was Penny and Shaq all over again. All right. And the thing with the Penny situation was Penny wasn't really the one that was influencing that. Shaq even said it himself. He was getting in his own head about it. Right. So I think Kobe and Shaq, they had their time where things worked really well. It was clear that Shaq was the alpha dog, much like KD and Westbrook. Once you get to the point where it's not clear who's the alpha dog, that's when things, just like Scottie had to eventually take a back seat when MJ came back because he thought for the longest time he was the alpha dog, and MJ came back and we already knew he was the alpha dog. If Scottie fought that, there might have been some issues.
Well, if you look at the fact that Scottie didn't even really fight back when Kukoc on that.
Well, there's that too.
Play. Like you knew that Scottie knew his role even when Michael wasn't there. He knew he was still the beta. He was just the strongest beta that Chicago had. And then, of course, when Michael came back, there was no change in roles. It was like, Michael's the ultimate alpha. But I actually,
I'm gonna get a couple of comments here. Doug,
I was about to respond to one of them. I know Romy put in Kobe can get so disrespectful.
Yeah, I was about to get to it. Well, Doug Thomas has spoken both Shaq and Kobe are to blame.
I agree.
D5 saying that this Shaq and Kobe thing is a bloat topic on the net. It really is because this, to me, we said this earlier, Bill. I said this is old news that they're just trying to hype up just to be on board.
Oh, and I also have a question. I know that's an avatar, but is B5 really that light?
I don't want to answer that. I'm gonna let him answer. I know the answer. I know the answer, but I'm not going to answer that.
I think he is only because I remember the GameStop video when he was taking the games to GameStop, and I'm like, wait, we got a fucking Team Light Skin Devil out here. but nah, I think.
I'm like, I know I can't really talk, but I'm
like you said, DJ. Rome Rush said Kobe can't get so disrespect. We can. I mean, you got to understand.
We seen the video of how disrespectful Kobe can get. We seen the practice when he came in there and was just cursing all his teammates.
That's what I'm about to say. Don't get it twisted. Kobe's his own man, but Kobe pretty much idolized MJ a lot.
Yeah, because Michael Jordan did the same exact thing.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He idolized even down to his demeanor. So it's to me, it's almost like 2.0 or 1.5 MJ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I get it,
Yeah, because in this book right here, the Jordan rules.
Here we go.
This is where I found out, what was it?
So this is why we need video cameras so we can do shit like you're doing.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm just because this is episode 81. I figured why not?
Oh, here we go.
So you get a book like this, you find out a lot of shit about what MJ was doing, especially to Bill Cartwright. He was nasty to Bill Cartwright because the Bulls had traded away Charles Oakley.
And by the way, folks, Kobe's 81 game will never be better than the game Jordan dropped 69. Sorry, not sorry.
I couldn't believe even the one when he did 63
is better than 81 regardless.
Oh, see, here we go.
Even the one when he did 63,
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, but it's a different topic for a different.
Yeah, that's another topic. Yeah. Anything else you want to add to this? I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's good. It's good to talk about it, but at the end of the day, we know that it's kind of been inflated for people to have something to talk about because they needed something to fill it.
I just think overall, it's a more interesting topic to talk about where you would put them on your list as far as who's higher. I think that's the more interesting topic than talking about their beef, because their beef is just boredom. That's what it is. They're bored. That's what these players do when they retire. They get bored. They bring up old beefs. They start spats on Twitter. They say something in an interview that will spark some talk, because fame is a drug.
Especially if you're a player that's never won a championship. Charles Barkley,
yes,
the biggest one.
That goes right back to what we were saying about them terrible takes.
Now, first of all, Fife, I ain't trying to be blackballed for anything. I'm not out here trying to prove myself on the internet saying that I have a life and you really actually don't. So that's a negative, buddy.
First off, Fife, it's impossible for DJ to be blackballed because DJ's not a bitch.
No, so don't do that to Bond, why you do that to Bond?
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. So yeah, no.
No, Bond, good people, man.
Tell them to go to a brothel. Well, Roger Kraft might be able. Never mind.
Yeah, let's leave that one alone. Jesus Christ. Anything else y'all want to add, Shaq and Kobe? Y'all want to?
No, that's pretty much it.
And the NFL and the NBA has changed a lot of rules to make the game safer, more quote unquote woke, more sensitive to people that don't really watch sports. They actually made it for the better in some cases as well. This topic can go anywhere and everywhere when it comes to the NFL and NBA evolution. Once again, I'm going to ask. I'll ask DJ. I'm gonna let DJ start off and ask what actually.
What's going on, Apex?
Yeah, what's up, Apex?
Hey, what's going up, Apex?
Yeah, what's actually hold on, I'm looking at something. Whatever that comes to the forefront in your eyes when it comes to either sport and what they're doing to change for the better or worse.
I think the main thing, and it's a stark difference between the NBA and the NFL evolution, is that the NBA actually supports their players. They back their players almost 100%. I'm not going to say totally 100%, but when it comes to discussing social issues and anything that is for the good of society, they back their players. Versus the NFL, again, I talked about that slave owner mentality. The moment the players do something that the fans or the owners don't like or think that, they do the one thing that they're not expected to do, it's you get shoes thrown at you, the league doesn't back you, and it's like, along with a lot of the, like, not just backing from management and backing from like the league overall, but just the fact that on top of that, you have rules that are now working against you with player safety in the NFL. You have stuff that could be taken on. I was thinking about this earlier. There's stuff that could be taken on that is common sense rulemaking. Like, I think replaying pass interference is bullshit. It takes
absolutely.
I think you need to simplify what is a catch. The fact that the league was fumbling over that is a travesty.
Well,
I've actually gone back and said that Des Bryant's drop was a catch. Now that I think about it, after they've gone through several rule changes, I was like, come on, technically that was a catch.
Yeah, I mean, the flip side to what you just said about the pass interference rule, and you turn around and talk about the catch rule, those are two opposites to where they're getting it wrong. And this one with the changing of the catch rule, they're actually getting it right, because we can clearly see a guy holding the ball, take 2 steps, hit the ground. If the ball comes out of his hand once he hits the ground, it's still a catch because he had 2 feet in. I don't see how they got that wrong, but nevertheless, you know.
And the thing is, it just seems like they contradict themselves every single time with every single rule change. And then let's not talk about the off the field issues, how the NFL is inconsistent with how they handle those, who they allow back in the league, who they blackball, and so on.
Drug suspensions, domestic violence suspensions.
And you look at the NBA, like I said, it's totally different. I'm like, they consistently handle off the court situations accordingly. They enact programs that support the players through these situations. There's all sorts of mentorship that's available in the NBA. Like, everything is geared for the players in the NBA versus everything's geared for management, ownership. Like I said, that slave, like the NFL is like the modern day plantation.
What are your thoughts, Bills?
I agree with everything DJ said. I'm looking at some stats right now that I already knew about, but I kind of want to put at the forefront of what I was talking about as far as the league being a cycle, but also as far as how different, the league is compared to back in the day. So I went to Basketball Reference, good old trusty Basketball Reference, and I looked up the stats for the 1972 season. So at the time, there were 17 teams in the league, and the number 17 team in the league was averaging 102 points per game. The number 1 team in the league was averaging 121 points per game. Okay, this is the 1970s. Now we look at it, the number 1 team, the Milwaukee Bucks, averaging 118, and the number 30 team in the league averaging 103. So the league is a cycle. Now, we can contribute to a lot of things. Obviously, the game is different now, more 3-pointers. But the thing is that gets me, it's like when everybody says there's no defense nowadays, I'm like, hey, hand checking was back in the 70s. That was allowed.
Right.
They were averaging 121 points. As a matter of fact, at least 10 teams averaged 110 points per game. So even when you look at it from the perspective of maybe they're the same as far as the number of teams who average, over 100 points. But when you look at the number of teams who average 110 or more, which is like ridiculous, far more back in the 70s. So then we get to the 80s, right? Now the court's closing down. The court is really closing up. We got pretty much a great center on every team, give or take. The point guards, the good point guards in the league are,
Son of a bitch.
What?
I don't watch I haven't watched any preseason games. I'm watching the Falcons one, and this fucking kicker misses another field goal. Get his ass back off the team.
Damn.
Go over there, pick up some trash somewhere. It's your local.
They did bring in Bryant.
Yeah, I know. They never cut him to begin with. See, this is why I don't watch preseason, because of the bullshit like this. Punk ass trying to kick with his elbow. That's
Jesus Christ.
Man, don't do nothing around BF if he's a coach. Right. He ain't from Brooklyn either.
So yeah, we moved to the 80s. The game got a lot more physical. You like I said, you had a great center on pretty much every team. Perimeter players were kind of at a premium as far as the really special perimeter players, and obviously the stats went down. Then the 90s come, the game opens up a little bit more fast-paced, better athletes, etc.
Golden era.
The golden era. There's still illegal defense, right? We're going to talk about that. There's still illegal defense, but the way that teams are kind of creating ways to help on guys without having to fully come and double team, it's evolving. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have an evolution of small ball with Don Nelson and things like that. That was in the late 80s. So then the 2000s come, all bets are off, right? Mm-hmm. We get rid of – we got the best athletes yet, right, which is supposed to be in every sport. With each generation comes better athletes. You got the best athletes yet. You have basically the elimination of illegal defense after a while. So now teams are kind of zoning up. And you're seeing – so my view of it is, okay, I see less 30-point per game scorers these days, which I can directly attribute to the elimination of illegal defense. Now, a lot of people are not going to agree with that, but there are a lot less 35-point per game scores. It doesn't happen that much anymore because now teams can zone up and kind of, I don't say eliminate a guy, but they can definitely hold a guy in check to only get to about 27 per night. The thing is, in this generation, you also have the evolution of the three-pointer. Now, basically, a player can stay on a team by being a shooter. He doesn't have to be able to defend. He doesn't have to be able to drive. He doesn't have to be able to pass. He can literally just stand in the corner and shoot threes. We saw it with Steve Novak for a spell. A lot of those guys that were on those Knicks teams when Melo was there, like 2012 or so, they just stood around and shot. Raymond Felton stayed in the league on that. So the league's definitely changed. I mean, and then when we want to get to the NFL, I mean, the NFL, I think,
like, where do we start? You know what I'm saying?
I think the NFL has had a bit less of a change overall in the brand of the game. Like, if you go and look at just the alignment of the players in the 80s compared to now, as far as basketball is concerned, it's such a stark difference.
I'm more leaning towards DJ when as far as evolution, because when you think of the NFL, they've done so much. Change the game on the field with their with their rules and regulations. Now, the type of player, I totally get that, but the type of player has changed in many ways because of those same things that DJ was talking about.
But so that's what I'm saying. So from the NBA standpoint, it's less about rules. It's more about players. It's more about the evolution of how the game is played. In the NFL, it is some about how the game is played, but it's a lot more about the rules because, of course, you'll have the guys from the 70s who romanticize, well, shit, you used to just be able to clothesline somebody off the line. Like, I mean, I get it. Yeah, I get it. Night Train Lane grabbing people's face.
You know what's funny? They used to advertise that in the Madden games. Oh, look at the cool scoring tackle.
They did.
So
helmets used to fly off and all.
Right, exactly.
So it's like the game used to be obviously far more physical, but the schemes, this is where it balances out. The schemes weren't nearly as varied as they are now. So players, in my opinion, at least in the secondary, they have to be way smarter because now they have these different route concepts that they have to make sure they pay attention to. Now you got RPO and, the days of having 15,000-yard running backs, it's gone. It's never coming back, I don't think. Mm-hmm. So that's why the Todd Gurley's and the Saquon Barkley's and the Alvin Kamara's, they're at a premium. And it's different. I mean, back then, if somebody passed for 4,000 yards, it's like, shit, that motherfucker passed for 4,000 yards.
Yeah, no, it's
talking like Dan Marino's.
Now Ben Roethlisberger had an offseason. The motherfucker passed for 5,000 yards last year.
Right. Talking about quarterbacks passing for 50 touchdowns and Mahomes.
50 touchdowns, and back then it was like 21-6 was like
these fucking college stats, 50 touchdowns and stuff like that.
So it's just it's a lot different. I can't say which era is better. I've watched both eras. I can't say which era is better in football. I will say in basketball, I would lean towards the 90s if I was going to watch any era. 90s, and then obviously this generation has, I would say the highest entertainment value. But it's give and take in every era. That's what folks need to realize. It's give and take in every era. Some people like the 60s when motherfuckers couldn't even barely dribble.
Some people like the 40s and 30s when there were no black people in it.
Oh,
I know, right? Which now that I think about the 60s brings me to another point. Somebody called me a nitpicker because I wanted.
I thought you were about to say the other end.
No, false alarm. No, somebody called me a nitpicker because I went on one of Brian Mazeek's videos, and I said, "How hard is it for 2K to not put the 3-point line on the 60s and 70s courts?" And somebody called me a nitpicker. I'm like, how am I nitpicking? They've done it before.
But you know what? Just to add in, that also makes me wonder when because as part of the rule changes in the My League franchise mode, which is still always going to be the best franchise mode you'll ever see. When they have it to where you can change the distance, I wonder, does it actually physically change?
That's what I'm interested in.
Because if it visually is still the same, then it's just like, because you're talking about altering the court, which they only do when the teams actually showcase that they're changing the court. So.
Yeah, because somebody commented, "Oh, well, it's because other eras have to play on that court." But that's what makes it interesting. Is if you bring a Golden State Warriors onto the 70s or the 60s court, and they got to play with no 3-pointers, so every deep shot they're taking is rendered useless. Then that makes it interesting. Right. So that's why you would take it off, because what's the point of putting those teams in if you're not going to make it true to how it was? They didn't have a 3-point line. That's what made them scoring 120 points so mind-blowing to me.
Funny. Just to add in, I'm looking at the chat. They all thought you were going to say something else too.
Yeah, that's what
I see. That's
why I thought you was about to say, well, somebody called you what? I don't know. I mean, anything else you want to add? I mean, me personally, I think the evolution, like what DJ said, the NBA, I think has done a fantastic job to be more not only player friendly, but they're actually fan friendly. Sometimes I think they go.
Yes, that's also the case too with the NBA.
And I think they have gone a little overboard with the Draymond Green owner.
I will say this though. This is the one issue that the NBA has. And it's the fact that these refs are so fucking sensitive, and they're allowed to be so sensitive in this day and age, that playoff game intensity is not nearly how it used to be, because players are not free to express themselves on the court. And these refs you look at them the wrong way. Technical foul. Hell, an ejection.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I mean, the technical fouls we were seeing last year were far more egregious than anything we've ever seen. It was almost as bad as baseball ejections.
Which the most ridiculous technical foul that I remember was on Tim Duncan, sitting on the bench laughing.
From the bench.
Yeah, I think that goes back to a culture that we had where things are getting a little bit more sensitive. And it kind of leaks over to the refs, because back then the refs would just tell you, to get out of my face. They wouldn't play.
They encourage the culture of flopping, and then they say, "Well, we're gonna get rid of flopping. We're gonna start finding people." Okay, fine. Find the person that was fined for flopping. There hadn't been one.
I mean, I get it with that. The evolution of that is almost somewhat of a good thing, because of. It was just egregious. It was really bad.
It still is. They haven't found anybody for flopping. Flopping hasn't lessened any. They've just found different ways to do it.
That's true. So, I agree. Now, I do agree with that. I agree that they still do it, and they try to find ways to do it without being, caught or fined or whatever. But I will give it to the fact that they are actually trying to alleviate it, because some of those flops are just ridiculous.
They are, but what I'm saying is, I think the initial shock of, they're going to start finding people, that shit went away after a week. Then they just went and got sensitive as far as the referees. That's what made it so bad. It's like these referees are coming out here and dictating how games are played, because and we already know about the whole rigging thing. We don't have to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, we already know.
But just the way that, coaches can't point out things that are happening to their team anymore, you can't criticize the refs in the media. I mean, they can't criticize them in the media. You'll get fined. It's just crazy. It's like everybody's so fucking sensitive. And the players are the only ones who ain't sensitive about pretty much goddamn nearly anything. The NFL players are a bit more sensitive. The NBA players are just like, whatever. We'll deal with all the bullshit that the refs bring us game by game.
Yeah.
And it's just sad. It's like the refs have become the sensitive ones. I mean, back in the 80s, there were a lot of players who acted like they were about that life, and they were really about that life. They probably wish they played in this era where you don't really got to be about that life. So
Right.
All right, well, I'm looking at this chat. Y'all going to have to break it up in there. Get a room at some point.
Doug Thomas, you shooting your shot again? This is the second straight week.
I know, right? Gotta watch him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, anything else y'all want to add with the evolution of these? I mean, I guess we can somewhat go into baseball next episode.
We have a lot to talk about that.
Yeah, that could go in real deep
Yeah,
detail. So maybe some other time.
Right.
Sim gaming, like I said, I don't know. Y'all had y'all reaction to what I was saying on my last video about.
Watch the viewership go up now.
I know, right? I mean, I don't have a problem with the games or whatever. I think the games are great. It's just that I think the games are great. It's just that I don't feel like I'm having fun with the damn games. It kind of sucks that to me it just feels like it's tedious to actually play these games. And like back in the day, I know DJ and Bills, I know you can attest this too. Like when you look at a Madden 04, when you look at Madden 08 on PS3, or hell, you can even go back and look at Madden 12, for instance, even Madden 25 on the PS4. Those games just felt like they flowed much better when you're actually playing them. Even with NBA 2K, with all this stuff that's going on with that game, it makes you fall back because, like, look, I got to do all of this to make this game go properly, especially with you, Bills, with these sliders. Like, I don't think the games are bad. Even Madden 20 with its shortcomings, I think is a pretty good game. But I think it pulls away from what we're trying to do to actually have fun with simulation, not necessarily having a full-on sim to the point where we actually feel like we're actually working. We're working to play a game. What are you guys' thoughts? I'm gonna go downstairs real quick. I gotta help my wife with something, and I'll get the feedback when I come back.
All right.
You can go, dude.
All right. Well, as far as sim gaming is concerned, now I'm gonna point at Romy Rush here because I saw that the video that he put out in reference to the sim community parts 1 and 2. I'm like, really, 2 parts? Just a side question on that. But I remember he said something about like people not playing the game at the highest difficulty. And I actually want to explain why that happens, because I'm one of those people that doesn't play it on the highest difficulty. Now, here's the thing. There is a trade-off when you play at the highest difficulty level in a sports game.
Right.
Apex has brought this up. Bills has brought this up. I think everybody who's played, when they play Madden, they play it on all Madden. There's shenanigans going on.
Yeah.
There's way too many shenanigans. The CPU is cheating. It's the same in NBA 2K. It's the same in MLB The Show. It's the same wherever you go in any sports game. FIFA, PES, NHL. When you play at the highest difficulty level, you are going to be forced to use sliders to adjust to one. Like in Madden, you play on all Madden. Yeah, Bills, you're right. Play calling is a lot better from the AI, from the CPU on that level. But the players, they cheat. The AI cheats at that level. So you go into the sliders, you have to go in and nerf the CPU AI to where it appears when you finish the sliders, it'll look like it's in your favor, but you're just pulling even.
Yeah.
So you can get what you would literally get. Yeah, I knew you deleted the second one. That Roman just said he deleted part 2.
All right, I'm back. I got my son with me, so if you hear some bumping and yelling, that's him.
Okay. So if you go into like the sliders and it appears that your sliders are higher than the CPUs on all Madden, it evens out the gameplay. But that reminds me of I play on all pro when I play Madden. Well, one, I don't play online. I don't play competitively. I could care less about what happens online. I know that offline, when I play in the CPU, I want fair, balanced, and the only way for me to get that, if I want to play on the highest difficulty level, I will have to go into the sliders and adjust it so I can get more variety as far as the AI calling plays, but having all pro gameplay, which the devs have already said that is the most balanced difficulty in that game. They said it themselves.
Hey,
So
they've been saying that for years.
right. And then I'll go to NHL. I play NHL on the highest difficulty level, and there's shenanigans when you just leave everything at default. And they have, and the thing is with NHL, there are a ton more sliders that you can mess with. I have a couple.
DJ, would you agree? Would you agree that Pez might be the worst offender?
Yes.
Yo, Pez on the highest difficulty level is like playing a cheeser online who basically just plays this game all day. They're just lofted through balls. Just oh my god!
I mean, I want to go and say what Romy Rush is saying. Just because you beat the CPU on Madden all the time, that doesn't mean that the game is actually balanced to what you see on Sundays. You have to realize that we're trying to. The game looks so good. It should be where that it plays exactly the way it looks. And when you're you don't get that when you play the game on all Madden.
But here's the thing: by viewing his video in the context of his video, I don't think he's saying that. I think he's saying like when people showcase the game, when they're calling out bugs, it's going back to that whole. Why don't you tell people what settings you're playing on? Like preface your video before, not you, Romy, but like to content creators who either do breakdown videos, whatever. Preface the difficulty level you play on, and if you're using sliders before you go in, because when you see all these bugs and stuff like that, sometimes the sliders could be the reason why this happening. There are legit bugs.
Or the lack thereof.
Yeah, there are legit bugs that take place, but the game won't stop. But there probably could be more that pop up because you adjust it. Like if tackling is too low, you're going to get instances where people are going to break 20 tackles. And I'm exaggerating that number, but it happens.
Hell, there's an example of quarterback accuracy. If you put it down too low, they'll start just throwing willy-nilly in the coverage, no matter who they are.
No matter who's open, they just throw it.
And
open, they'll still throw it,
Right. And the thing is, I don't really like when people are like, you shouldn't have to use sliders. I'm just like, well, I'm sorry. I feel sorry for you. If you're,
we shouldn't have to pay taxes. Shit happens.
Right.
At the end of the day, we buy this game and we want to enjoy this game, so we don't want to sit back and just complain. There's no fun in that.
See, and he said it right there. 2K is ridiculous on Superstar. It's ridiculous on Hall of Fame too. So Apex, if you're listening, you may want to use sliders to get the gameplay that you want. I know you've called out a lot of legit stuff, and I'm not denying that because you have that on video. But I don't know if you even admit to using sliders, but I would like to see you play the game after adjusting sliders and see how it feels. And if you're one of those people that will sit there and say, I shouldn't have to use sliders, then maybe you're not the person I thought you were.
Yeah. I mean, my thing is like at the end of the day, I'm just not. I just feel like it's more harm than good sometimes playing these games. See, I mean, and it sucks because I like Madden 20. Don't get me wrong. I have a series that's still going on my channel. I like playing the game, but it just feels like I'm not sitting back and actually like playing the game. I feel like I'm doing. I feel like I'm doing more than actually playing.
You know something sad? So Q Houston, shout out to Q Houston on Twitter. Me and him have been having some really good conversations about 2K as of late. More specifically, Mike Wang, and we all know what kind of
what he's turned into.
So I know, right? So Q Houston, he made a good point. Like, I remember just a couple years ago when I was playing a game on All-Star, I was getting a great challenge on All-Star. And then I would say probably around NBA 2K17, I couldn't play it on All-Star anymore. It was too easy.
Right.
I don't know if they're dumbing down these games for the people who are complaining about how the game plays on even the intermediate levels, let alone the highest levels. But like, I hope this year they go back to All-Star because it's definitely the most balanced. But you have to do so much work to make the computer play like its real life counterpart, even to the point where they handcuff the AI system that they put in Ace. They handcuff it, on All-Star. So Superstar and Hall of Fame, you only have access to Ace on those two. So it's one of those things where it's like, I really want to play on All-Star, but I can't. It's just too easy. The help defense is abysmal a lot of times, which is just a 2K issue in general, but it's just the read and react engine that they have on All-Star, I feel, is not sophisticated enough for me to have to adjust throughout a game playing against the computer. That's the unfortunate part because All-Star, it used to be, I don't say harder, but, a better challenge.
I think for me, I'll start with
LT's in here. What?
Yeah, I saw his name mentioned earlier, and I didn't see him. Yeah.
My thing is with the game is more like with both games. I play with the second to the lowest. Second to the hardest difficulty. I always play that, and I work my way through that. Now, as far as the game go, I literally play based on the team's strengths. So I don't necessarily try to run my own plays. I don't try to run my own thing. Like, for instance, I play with the Bulls. I try to run my offense through a Zach LaVine, or when Jabari Parker was there, he's still on my league. I run the offense through them. Win, lose, or draw, I run through my primary players or any player I want to see develop or whatever. I play basically based on what the team's strengths and weaknesses are. Now, like Bill said, the game could get very easy for me if I decide to go outside of my realm and just play basketball based on what I know I can do with that team. But I find more satisfaction when I do score 35 with Zach LaVine and lose instead of trying to score, all these other points and win with other players that I know I can be dominant with. To me, I feel like it's more of a simulation that way because it's built because the Bulls are this way or the Lakers are this way. I play to their strength instead of just playing the game. Maybe I know I'm probably in the minority when I do that.
Well, the issue I find is even on All-Star, it seems like when I try to play to those players' limitations, it don't work. They still end up doing things they have no business being able to do. You got defenders like Kawhi who on Hall of Fame plays like Kawhi, and on All-Star, he doesn't quite play like Kawhi.
Now, I understand that from your perspective, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. It's just for me, I know, like say for Giannis Antetokounmpo, he scored 35 for me against me in the third quarter when I was playing on All-Star.
Wait a minute, VF, let me stop you real quick. I'm gonna give you credit for saying this name right the first time because I cannot do that to save my life. So I know I get on you about your reading, but that's impressive.
Are you crazy, man? But yeah,
no, I'm serious.
Like and like with Kawhi, when I was playing with them against the Raptors, they beat me like 135 to like 98, and Kawhi had like 41. So it's like, and I think that's because I really limit the team because of the fact that I know the Bulls are low key shit. But if I win, the fact that they're playing like shit and I've managed a way to beat that team with the limitations, I find that more enjoyable because I know easily I can turn around and just beat any team I want to with the Bulls on the settings that I have. I know I can. I think it's within the confines of the team.
I think it's a good indication that 2KU being on rookie in the demo still played, to me at least, kind of played like the shit was on All-Star.
You can't hit the keyboard
because like honestly, 2KU on 2K20, it played a lot like All-Star to me because I felt like, yeah, it's kind of easy, but sometimes the CPU does pull off a play, and I'm like, wow, that was actually pretty smart. But it's just inconsistent compared to Superstar and Hall of Fame. How often the computer pulls off a smart play, and I'm like, you got me. So I think with it on rookie, if it's playing that well on rookie, it kind of is encouraging. Maybe I can go back to All-Star this year. We'll have to see.
Now, and when it comes to Madden, I mean, like with DJ, I play offline. I play All Pro. I don't touch all Madden because even when you try to be, my thing is, it's not the fact that it's hard and I can't win. It's just the fact you see the bullshit even when you're doing good. Like I see players jump routes. I see players get a speed boost in all Madden, and it's just, to me, it's very annoying when you see a player that's not that good, but for the sake of the difficulty, they do foolishness.
But that's what I hate about how they develop games. These developers need to change that up because, in my opinion,
well, I mean, let's go back to the PS2 era when all Madden was all Madden. The players just played better. It wasn't no foolishness.
Well, but not even that. Like, when you look at the lower difficulties, in my opinion, I think on every difficulty level, the players should play the way they play in real life, not just on Hall of Fame. And the team should run the same type of play calling as well as the coach, possibly can on Madden. He should call it the same way on rookie. Now, the only difference on the field, in my opinion, is how well do your stick skills translate to the game in cohesion with how these teams play? Because on all Madden, obviously, they react a lot faster. On Hall of Fame, they really do handcuff you in some sense. And the things that you try to pull off on All-Star, you can, and the things you try to pull off on Hall of Fame are obviously harder.
Yeah.
I think they need to stop handcuffing the AI on difficulty levels, and they need to kind of go more towards how easy is it for the for the user to pull off what he's trying to pull off against the CPU. Because like I've told DJ, I've seen the CPU on All Pro, they will run 3 straight RPO screens, get shut down on the fucking goal line, and give up a safety. Wow. The same on all Madden, they'll line up in goal line, run the ball 3 times, and punt. So it's like, that's the disconnect. If they had that type of play calling on All Pro, I would honestly play on All Pro. But it takes me out of it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like when I'm playing on All-Star on 2K, and I see Kawhi, where he would usually drive to the basket, he passes to somebody who's not even open, and it's like it's a turnover. And those small things can change the tide of a game, over the course of a basketball game, because I just want the players to play, no matter what the skill level is, play the way you play. Right. Because the challenge should be in how do I adjust?
And and that's a fair assessment. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
So hopefully I can play on All-Star this year. I'm crossing my fingers. Hopefully I can play on All-Star on 2K, get a good challenge, and I won't have to use the fucking Atlanta Hawks and franchise and see if I can't go 82-0, because it's starting to get old. That's another reason people ask, why do you put down my league so quick? Why do you put down Fred? Because I end up going like 10-0 and I get bored because the game's not challenging me.
I'm having a phenomenal time of my life. Like right now, I'm like 13. No, I'm 14 and 11. I'm like 6. No, I fell back. I'm 6 in the East, and it's a grind. I love every bit of it. Like right now, I have no reason to play 2K20, and it's not because 2K20 could be a better game. I'm pretty sure it is. It's just that like we talked about, the evolution, the grind, it's your baby. You're building that team. And you're getting better. You see the team chemistry getting better, and you're trying to fight for playoff position. Those type of things you can't put a price tag on. You can't trade in $60 for another game for those type of moments. Those are the type of moments I used to have when I used to play on original Xbox or PlayStation 2, when I was in my 7th year of my dynasty, and I'm trying to figure out which running back I'm going to use now, or stuff like that. I mean,
and that's why
these dynasty modes are 80 years long. Why not take advantage of it?
And that's why a lot of people are gonna kill me for this, but I honestly had an easier time playing against a computer without making a roster on Madden and getting a different game every time than 2K last year, because so many of the different top echelon players played the same in 2K last year. There was no dynamic. There was nothing you felt like you had to prepare for. This year, you got to prepare for that pass rush. You got to prepare for that running back that can receive out of the backfield, and that's without making a roster.
This is one reason why Madden 20 is getting more burn on my end, because I get that feeling when I play a different team now. The past Maddens, outside of the stupid patches that messed the game up, there was not necessarily a differentiation of players. Now with these X factors and the ability for players to get these certain X factors, you see a difference between one running back to the next. It's something that Madden's been missing since the PlayStation 2 days, or in some cases the Madden 08 when they had the weapon system.
And from the 2K demo, just real quick, I could say that I kind of see they worked on the tendencies a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just based on playing on rookies. So on All-Star, it should be a lot more fleshed out. So I can appreciate that. If they've worked on the tendencies and they truly want to differentiate one star player to the next, then I'm all for it, because that's what I need in a basketball game. I need every game. I need to prepare differently. I need to have different defensive settings for every team, and that stuff is fun. But when I'm playing a computer that's so vanilla, I can't do that.
And this is the thing about 2K5 that a lot of people may not want to like to hear. Even though they had weekly preparation, you did not necessarily prepare for that team. You just wanted your players' morale to be better, so they can be faster, or they can break more tackles, or they can catch the ball more. And it wasn't necessarily you were preparing for Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams had his attributes, he had his rating, but you would have had to deal with that regardless. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't because of preparation. If the preparation was lower, you would have had a lower chance of stopping them. It was more chance of you being better at what you're doing. You could have still stopped them. It wasn't going to diminish anything for the most part.
And one big thing that's taken me out of it in Madden, the elimination of hot and cold streaks.
Yeah,
I noticed that wasn't there anymore.
I'm like, there's no
NCAA 14 did a brilliant job with that.
It made you feel like you were playing in a living and breathing season that's evolving over time.
That's exactly why I still play 2K19.
Yeah.
Well, it seemed like they just, like, with the way they restructured franchise, especially after people were complaining that they couldn't bring their morale back up, it seemed like they took all that out. Excuse me. And the thing about having hot and cold streaks, low morale, high morale, is that should stay in the game, because that's what really takes place. Again, referring back to, when you played through a season of my league, I can go back to playing a full season in 2K15, and a team like Oklahoma City Thunder, they had high morale, high chemistry, and they were just killing teams.
Yeah.
And that was because they were in tune, and you could tell, like, there's a difference when your players are, like, starting out in the 60s as far as team chemistry, and then when it hits the 80, all of a sudden plays ran a lot smoother. And then that leads to another thing. People who judge gameplay on play now versus when they're in a franchise mode is two different experiences.
And that goes for 2K and Madden.
And there's nothing like going and trying to trade for a player that might be at the position of another player that's already on your team that has a big role, and seeing his morale go down, or trading a guy and seeing the team chemistry automatically go down, because it plays out on the court. I can tell you several franchises I played, several my leagues I played last year where I traded a big time, maybe leader in the locker room, and the chemistry went down from, about a 60-something to a 40-something. And I knew that I was getting into that, but I knew also that once we started winning games, if I could fight through the tough adjustment period, and I can get us a system, which system proficiency actually does make a big difference too. What system a coach likes to run versus what system the guys on the court fit. All that shit matters. But when you look into Madden and you see that morale is really just under the hood because no hot and cold streaks exist, it kind of just takes you out of it, because you can't have a guy who's throwing 3 touchdowns per game for 5 straight games not have a hot streak, or at least see that he's on a hot streak. It's just, I don't know, man.
Right, because see, and the thing with my league, you can actually go in, like when you make a trade and stuff like that, when you go to the team training or the player training, you can literally, whoever you feel like is the leader on your team or whatever, or you can set it globally to work on team chemistry. So it creates but every time your team practices, and that's another thing, you can schedule team practices in a calendar system. You pretty much can help speed up the process as far as the team chemistry. So you may lose a guy that drops your team chemistry down about 12%, but then if you just keep, because right now there's like when you go in and you let it play by default or let it set by default, it's zero. Nothing's being done in practice to work on team chemistry. You have to go in and change that.
Yeah.
So that way your team can focus on team, and that's what practices are designed to do, to build team chemistry. Whether there's a big trade, you have new players, that's what it's all about. So along with your victories, along with your team's practices, and it depends on the intensity of the practices, the fact that you can individually set players' intensities and practices, it's like diving. My league to me is like diving into an ocean, while Madden is like stepping in the kiddie pool right now.
And the only thing I wish 2K would add, I know they have scrimmage, and I know they have freestyle.
That's another one, yeah.
You know, they have scrimmage and they have the freestyle, you know, to shoot around and get a player's form down. I wish the drills that they had in my career last year could be ported over to my league, where if there's a guy like Lonzo Ball that's struggling with shooting, right, or, you know, coming off screens and shooting, I could actually do those drills and tangibly see, or if there's a guy that has trouble finishing through contact, instead of me assigning a mentor to have you work on that badge, I should be able to tangibly go and do it. That's the only thing I wish, is that I could go and actually do those drills and see him improve. And then, of course, if I want to automate it and just have him work on it, of course, that's an option. But to let me go and do that would be great.
Right.
Like if I want to work on a guy's on-ball defense, they have all these drills in the game because they're in my career. You know, when you go to practice, they're in my career. So I just wish they had them in my league. That would be great.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I think at the end of the day, when we look at sim, you know, just these sports that are touting sim, I think we're there, but it's just times like for me, I feel frustrated because it's like I have to do too much to get this game right, and it's so close to looking like what it's supposed to be. Like back then, we didn't have to deal with this type of stuff. I mean, the game wasn't looking like it, but I'll be damned, the game didn't play like it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm tripping. I mean, anything else y'all want to add to that?
I just gotta say, I can't remember. I would say the last time I was this excited about 2K was NBA 2K11.
Okay.
I'm really excited because this feels like the first true leap in gameplay, where the game feels different. It doesn't feel like the same 2K. It doesn't play like the same 2K. Obviously, if you watch it for a while, you'll see that the players kind of move the same. But when you play it, like, it's so much different. And then watching this gameplay from WNBA, it looks even more different.
That's the other thing. And it's funny because talking with, I didn't really talk long. It was like a short exchange, but with Bulls Mystique, I think she was one of the people that got a chance to play the WNBA because she was just like, because I had let her know, I was like, yeah, I definitely want to check out the difference between live expression of the WNBA versus the NBA 2K. And just looking at the footage alone, I could see the differences. But she kind of was like, wink, wink. It seems like she inferred that there's a lot more behind that. So.
You remember how technical the FIFA gameplay with the women seemed? More technical than the men. Yeah.
That's funny because on my channel, I have USA versus Germany for FIFA, the women's game. So yeah, it was a lot more going on in that game. Like with the men, you can just like outrun, out whatever.
Mhm.
But with the women, you have to work the ball a little bit more. And the AI was set up for that too. And I was just like, well, the men do that too. So
Exactly. So that's the thing. It seems like the women, because you can't just go and get this crazy 2-man animation, when you play in that WNBA mode, it's gonna be so much more interesting to see how folks maneuver their way through that gameplay where they have to pass the ball around a lot more and they have to run plays and they have to, know the mechanics of the game instead of just, brute strength and speed up and down the court. It's gonna be so interesting because I feel like the game is gonna play, I won't say night and day, but the WNBA is really gonna play like the WNBA is.
And it's gonna expose a lot of people.
You mean to say that? You mean to tell me that nobody's gonna be doing 360 windmill dunks with Brittany Griner
and fucking back scratchers, which they had in the trailer?
Right.
I mean, yeah, bro, it's gonna be interesting. And then just from the NBA side of things, I mean, just the new people in new places in general is gonna be interesting. Because now the chemistry on a lot of these teams change. I mean, you got Kyrie and KD on the Nets for however long before the roster update comes out. So that's gonna be interesting. And Kawhi and PG on the same team. It's gonna be interesting to play against the computer with these new teams.
That's another thing about 2K20 that I know I'm missing out. All this talent spread across the NBA. I'm not gonna be able to play those teams because of I'm still on 19. That's one thing I know that I'm going to miss. I mean, if I can find it on PC for probably like.
You'll end up getting it, bro. Maybe it's gonna be maybe down the road, but you'll end up getting it.
Yeah, I mean maybe down the road, I find it. I gotta find it for a pretty good price, and I'll probably end up having it. No joke. So it is what it is. Anything else y'all have to add? Anything else y'all want to talk about?
Not really.
I know I don't really have much. I know I was thinking about possibly doing or uploading regular vids on my channel.
Okay.
And I would I know we talk about sports and video gaming on here, and that's the way it is. I was thinking about doing an extension of this podcast and kind of do like a more variety. So I'm like, I had a few topics as far as those were concerned. Like I definitely, like one of the things I definitely will recommend, check out Dave Chappelle's new special called Sticks and Stones. I know Bills has already seen it.
Yeah, I said I was gonna watch it once we do the podcast, once we're done tonight.
Yeah,
and leave your feelings at the door, please. I beg you.
So I definitely recommend you guys check it out. It's a Netflix special. So if you have Netflix or you have somebody's account, go in and check it out.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm definitely gonna look at that once I finish this. I got my son right here. He don't want to go to sleep. He wants to sit here and watch me look at football on the other monitor. So this is what he's doing.
Hold on. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about.
What's going on?
Yeah. I want to talk about this Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger thing for a second because it's interesting, but it's not interesting. So I think the interesting part is I think people are starting to see how bipolar Antonio Brown is, but in seeing that, they're absolving Ben Roethlisberger. And since when does an apology automatically absolve you from what you originally did? That's what I don't like.
That's a good question.
Because it's like, okay, Ben Roethlisberger apologized for calling out AB the way he did. But for anybody who saw that pass that he threw, there was no way AB was going to catch that ball anyway. He threw it right over a lineman. You're 6'5" and you can't get the ball over a fucking lineman? Well, and then you blame AB and call him out after the game.
You got a quarterback in Carolina that, he overthrows everybody. So
he overthrows everybody, but he doesn't throw it right at the lineman's hands.
Well, that is true.
And then blame his receivers. So it's like two things can be right. Is Antonio Brown a diva? Yes. Is Ben Roethlisberger a piece of shit? Yes. Both can be right at the same time. It's not just Antonio Brown saying it.
Oh, wow.
It's James Harrison saying it. It's Le'Veon Bell saying it. It's not just Antonio Brown. So I think we got to remember that. Let's not absolve Ben Roethlisberger just because of Antonio Brown's recent behavior. There is truly something going on there that folks don't want to acknowledge. And Mike Tomlin might try to keep it under wraps as much as he wants to, but he's part of the problem.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that. It is. And I mean, you talk about Mike Tomlin. A lot of people don't want to talk about this, but I think he's a good coach, but he's not a good people manager. Does that make sense?
I agree with that.
He can coach football very well, but when you have people that are in the locker room that actually, have their issues with whatever, he does not know how to handle that very well. Because
he puts on that I'm just a football coach. He'll let the GM handle all that.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's like, listen, I'm here to coach football, and whatever happens, we'll just deal with it the best way we know how. But
because we had that in Jay Gruden in Washington. So.
Yeah, it's like
I'm just a football coach.
Yeah,
and on top of that, Mike Tomlin, everybody can see clear as day. He doesn't have command of that team. He picks and chooses who he wants to call out and alienate. He would never do it to Ben Roethlisberger. He doesn't have true.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That might not be a Mike Tomlin called, if you know what I mean. That might.
But I'm saying, of course, it's not. But what I'm saying is, Mike Tomlin got to keep that same energy with everybody.
But you know what? To be honest with you, it might not be his call, but he might not have done it either way. Because, like we said, he's the guy that just want to coach football. He's not trying. He's not in the business of actually holding. He's not in the business of really holding players accountable.
But his issue in doing that is he doesn't do that with everybody, VF.
Right.
He doesn't say with everybody, I'm just the football coach.
Right.
It's like with Ben Roethlisberger, he's never called Ben Roethlisberger out. He's not. I
mean, just to be honest, he haven't really called out any of the players. Why do you think everything pretty much ran amok?
Mm-hmm. Well, he kind of did with AB and Le'Veon because that was what Ben Roethlisberger was doing, and that's what
it was nothing like you would see. A Bill Cowher would have held him accountable.
Bill Cowher would have shut that shit down immediately.
Bill Parcells. Hell, you can even say, what's his name? The coach for the Patriots. He would have damn near any coach in the NFL.
But here's the other thing. He let the players on the team call him out and didn't check them, knowing that the situation was much more complex than what was put out into the media.
And you know what he did? Oh, we're just getting prepared for Sunday. That's exactly what he did.
Like, well, what about what Marquise Pouncey? I can't control what these. Yeah, sure you can.
You can't control.
You kicked AB out of practice. You never kicked Big Ben out of practice.
Right.
So it's like I could see Juju getting to the point where he feels some type of way. It's gonna be the same shit. Alienate him. Take Big Ben's side without really even taking his side. You don't have to vote to take Big Ben's side to take his side. All you have to do is submit to him, and you're taking his side.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like if Phillip Rivers came out tomorrow and alienated Melvin Gordon.
Hold up. Did y'all know, this is way off top, did y'all know that the Nebraska running back, he had pornography charges pending and he can't play?
Pornography? No. In the what, child porn?
I don't know, but it just popped up on the ESPN screen because I'm watching Cincinnati and UCLA play, and Cincinnati's beating UCLA, so Chip Kelly ain't doing what he's supposed to do. But that's another story for another day. But the running back for Nebraska has, I don't know the extent of it, but he can't play because of
revenge porn.
Yeah, I'm not even going to leave that one. I wish I would have never brought that up.
Revenge porn?
Yeah, you're right, LT. UCLA do look bad right now.
The University of Nebraska running back faces criminal charges under California's new revenge porn law for allegedly sending a sexually explicit video to his former girlfriend.
Why?
Okay.
Why would you do that?
Maybe they have a law about transmitting pornographic images to another person. I don't know.
It says, according to a report by the NBC Bay Area, Maurice Washington was one of several students from his high school to have a copy of a video of a then 15-year-old girl participating in what she described as non-consensual sexual act.
15.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can see.
She was 15.
So now
Yeah,
it's also being charged. He's also being charged with distribution of child pornography as a result.
Okay, the main thing is the child pornography.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question.
That's the caveat.
Wait a minute.
No, hold on.
Wait a minute, Bill.
Let me read this. Real quick. It says the relatively new state law in California makes it a crime to send a video to someone to inflict emotional damage.
I can get that. I can understand. That goes back to the.
Wait a second. Hold on. I don't mean to dig into the weeds in that, but when you said to inflict, that's implying motive. I know revenge. That's what revenge porn is. Right. But how it's gonna be hard to prove motive unless there are other text messages, phone calls that recorded.
That's why I don't like laws like this with so much wiggle room that they just come up with on a drop of a hat because one situation happened and we got to overreact and make a law out of it. I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah,
it's crazy.
But I mean, my thing is the child pornography thing. My question was, why is it even a game time decision for him to play?
Yeah, that's a person you just have to sit and let the process take.
It's like
course.
Like you either let him sit and he can still be enrolled in the school, or he gets off the team, or he's out of the school completely. Because child pornography. And even though if it's alleged, you just don't want that to follow your team if he's on. So it says
the girl said she reached out to him on social media to congratulate him on getting a scholarship. He replied by sending her that video.
No, it's hard for me to believe.
Yeah, that sounds like he was.
You're congratulating me on.
Yeah.
And she says, "I tried so hard to forget, and then have someone just throw it back in my face like that and taunt me with that is just evil." You know what? Okay, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. You congratulate me for getting a scholarship, and in return, I'm going to send you that. That's kind of hard for me to believe.
Yeah, I would agree. That is kind of.
Yeah,
that's weird to send something like that. There's got to be context to say that, hey, they didn't end their terms ended not well
but
have that happen.
Here's the other caveat. So then it says the victim says the sex acts on the video were not consensual. Her family told the TV station that they're considering pursuing sexual assault charges. Why are you waiting so long? This shit happened in 2015.
What? It happened in 2015, and they're now talking about it.
Video happened.
Wait a minute. We're talking about this in 2015. These are college students, so obviously, like with the 15-year-old thing, now I can see where that comes from because they're in college. That happened 4 years ago. Why is this even an issue for him to even be talking about playing football?
Happened in 2016, and they're just now considering pursuing. Get the fuck out of here.
See, the funny thing is, were they both in high school when this act?
They were both in high school.
This was 4 years ago. I'm almost certain that they were.
They dated. It said they dated while they were freshmen in high school together. Is what it said.
Oh god.
And the fact that it was recorded, how I beg the question: how is it non-consensual if it was recorded?
Oh my god!
Here's the third question.
Hold on. There's another thing. Remember when? Oh, go ahead. I'm gonna let y'all finish. I'm gonna talk about something else real quick.
Here's the other thing. How can you say distribution of pornography by sending a chick her own video?
Well, it is distribution. It doesn't matter who the recipient is, but still.
Yeah. I'm gonna say something. Y'all remember Florida and Miami just played, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Florida beat Miami 24-20, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know that other team in Florida swear that they're the shit. UCF, right? Mm-hmm. They thought they were national championships a couple years ago because they went undefeated. This team right now is beating FAMU 41-0 in the second quarter.
Who is?
UCF.
Well, they're playing FAMU. Who do you expect?
All right, I'm gonna say it again. Florida just beat Miami 24-20.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
UCF already think they're the best team in Florida. They're dominating a team 41-0 in the second quarter.
I get it. They're playing FAMU.
You don't understand the team that we're talking about here. UCF, the self-proclaimed national, that score, all it's going to say is, oh yeah, we're beating a team 41-0 in the second quarter, while you had these other two teams that we think that we're better than. They had to struggle against each other. If we played one of them, they'll get the business too. This is what I'm talking about.
But they played FAMU.
That's what BF is saying.
You understand what I'm saying, Bills? Yeah, they're playing FAMU, but you look at the fan base we're talking about.
And also, here's the thing. I was riding out with UCF.
They got obnoxious
first, and then all of a sudden they got obnoxious and started crowning themselves champion. And
once again, like I said, listen, DJ,
to beat them 40-something to nothing in the second quarter.
That's the problem. UCF is not that good of a program. But
I know. I'm just saying
they're not supposed to be that bad. But the fact that they are, all it's going to do is rile that dumbass fan base up, thinking that we should be in the SEC. Look what we're doing.
VF, this is what I want. I want Hawaii versus Georgia Part 2.
Exactly.
And then we can stop with the let's put this team on a platform and see how they do. Because Boise State was an anomaly.
Because even last year when they lost to LSU, they didn't lose that bad. So therefore, they were still running in their mouth.
Boise State was an anomaly. People need to understand this. The Colt Brennan hype train.
You had your Boise States. You had your Colt Brennan Hawaii Warriors. You had the Utah team. These guys were just basically anomalies. Yeah, they had some talent, but they weren't like these Power 5 schools.
They're what you call a big fish in a small pond.
Exactly.
Maryland could come down and beat FAMU 41-0.
That's what I'm saying. Even the SEC, as weak as it's been in the last few years, if you put UCF up against them,
they will play okay, but they're not.
They will play okay, but
they won't be SEC caliber teams.
Hell, look at Oklahoma. Oklahoma wasn't ready for prime time when they came against a defense that didn't just a team that didn't just score points. The Big 12, half the time, is who can win the shootout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Texas A&M. When Texas A&M came over from the Big 12, they had to learn really quick how to play SEC football.
Yeah.
All I know is that with UCF fans, all I can think of is UC fuckery.
That's a good one.
So that's what UCF stands for when they're bragging about beating FAMU 41-0 in the second quarter.
Next, the Saints fans are going to call themselves the 2018 NFC champions.
Oh, God. And you know what? I'm
honorable mention.
I am sick and tired of hearing about the Saints. Don't get me wrong. I got some.
Oh yeah, did they drop that? Did the courts dismiss that lawsuit?
Oh, they threw it out. Yeah, they threw it out.
Thank God. They threw it out.
Honestly, but see, here's the thing that comes with that we didn't even discuss, right? Let's say they did have to go back and play that last little bit of time. Does that mean that every player that was in a transaction, like does Clay Matthews, is he not allowed to play? Because that's the can of worms you open up when you think about that. These guys weren't on the team last year. Let's say the Rams got stronger and the Saints got weaker. That would be another issue. Well, Clay Matthews wasn't there last year. Why is he on the field? Motherfucker, we said we replayed it down. We didn't say what the conditions were.
Give me 5 seconds. Baby getting sleepy, so I'm going to go take him to his mama.
Gotcha.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like when you think about all those factors, like you can't just magically take Clay Matthews off the Rams because you want to replay that last little bit of time. That's not how it works.
You know what the equivalent to that is? It's not an exact equivalent. It's like transferring a save from MLB to show 18 into 19, and you're playing your franchise mode, and it's just like, damn, I don't even have to. This player is like on a different team. Like, what the hell? And like faces disappear, characters, because you're playing a totally different game with an old save. Exactly. And then also, this is on a side note, 2K. You need to have transfer of my league saves from year to year, just like MLB to show. You do that, you'll VF will automatically buy your game the following.
If they did it with my careers, I would never start. I would never create another player.
Especially when you have these people out here that can create faces in the game very well.
Well, you see, you know what though? Here's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
They can't do it with my career because they change how the fucking builds are set up every goddamn year. So you're my player anymore.
We have a KC Classic sighting. We have LT Magic, KC Classic. We had Apex earlier. B5 always tends
what is it, 2012?
Yeah, it seems like it's a reunion all over again. The sim community.
Y'all ain't gonna committing drive-bys at our goddamn podcast, man.
Man, all of a sudden we're gonna have like MD. What was it? MD. I forgot his whole name.
MD20?
Yeah, MD gonna show up. Put him in the game. Is gonna come back.
Right.
Prime time. I saw his name pop up for a second, but I thought I thought he recently did something and went back. I'm like, I have Simheads United back in the chat.
Versus gonna pull up. Versus gonna pull up in here now.
Man, if Versus were to pull up, that'd be
dope.
Awesome.
All right, I'm back.
That'd be dope.
So,
if
you see KC Classic them pulled up.
Yeah, I see. We getting all the OGs in here.
Right, we were saying that Versus would have pulled up.
I was about to say we need Versus and
pull up
out here.
Hey, we can get Versus and BB Resurrect. We will be cooking.
Get Roselle to pop up like, yo, what's up?
Yo, BB turned to Alex real quick.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It won't be BB no more.
Right. So,
shit.
Anything else y'all got, man? I mean, it's been a pretty good podcast again, man.
Yeah, this was actually a good comeback podcast. Even though, I know personally for me, I felt like it was a good comeback podcast after last week. Nearly like checking out, but
I mean, I do have one more thing I don't mind talking about.
Oh, go ahead.
What's up?
I got one more thing I want to talk about real quick before we go. That kicker that went for the Ravens, the female kicker, wasn't it Charlie? What do y'all think about that? Y'all think that's a go, or you think it's a no?
I think me and DJ on the same playing field.
You think somebody should sign her?
No. First of all, she's too old.
Okay.
Not only is she old, but she gotta be able to do it from a realistic run up like the NFL kickers do. We have to see her prove that she can do that. And we've already seen a legend, Morton Anderson, say he's gonna offer to help her.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something right now. She gets on a team.
You said she gonna get covered.
No, I'm just saying if she gets on a team, I'm gonna tell you what's going. The floodgates are going to open, and it's going to be a real big problem for the NFL.
And then Brittany Griner's gonna be like, "Let me in the NBA."
No. Seriously, it's not even that. You hear me out. Who's to say? First of all, who's going to block a kick that this lady kicks? Because if you try to block a kick, guess what's going to happen? It's a high possibility you're going to run into her. Mm-hmm. Who's going to be that NFL player who's going to run into a female kicker unintentionally, but it's just going to look bad regardless? And you know the NFL already has a problem with domestic violence.
Keanu Neal.
Who's going to? I'm just saying. But honestly, I know the joke's out there that he likes to knock players out. The joke is out there. That he likes to knock players out with his helmet. But I mean, I'm just being real honest right now. Who's going to be the guy that's going to look like a dirtbag by running into this female kicker?
Hey,
nobody. No, first of all, nobody's going to do it, right?
No.
All right, second.
I think a lot of players would do it. And you know what they'll say?
It ain't no way.
It's part of the game.
Exactly.
It ain't no way.
And they'll be protected by their peers. It's part of the game.
No, I'm telling you, the PC crowd.
I'm sorry.
I'm telling you,
I don't see them like if that would. I'm sorry. If that would have happened, then the NFL would be dead.
I'm trying to tell you. Thank you, DJ. And let me go to the second part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that they can't find a female who can throw a little bit, put her at quarterback? You already have a problem now that quarterbacks can't barely be touched in the NFL. Who's going to sack her? Because the floodgates are open at this point.
I would say the sack one, okay, fine, but the kicker one, no. That wouldn't fly. I'm telling you, they would protect their peers and say, "Look, it's part of the game. If she can't deal with it, get the fuck out."
You already listen, bro. I get what you're saying, Bills, and they have every right to defend their peers, and everybody will rally around it. The problem is this PC crowd and these get woke people.
It's not going to be able to dictate the NFL. VF, I'm sorry.
Hold up, real quick. How can you say that when they're already trying to push this lady to get signed by an NFL team?
They're trying to push her to get signed, but what I'm saying is
the media.
The media, yeah, but what do you think that the media is no different from these cupcakes that are out here on social media?
But getting her into the league is far different than policing how she.
It's no different from any politician getting an inch and taking a mile.
That's not how football.
You don't think so? You don't think so?
In the NBA, maybe this is the NBA.
Mark my words. If she gets in the league, and I'm not saying that she shouldn't, but I'm saying if she does, they will put bubble wrap around her because the first person who touch her is going to be a bad look. And then
it's no longer football.
I'm with you, DJ. I'm 100% with you. I'm not saying that nobody's wrong here. Even Bills to an extent, you may be right, but I'm just looking at this culture that we have with the way they treat NFL players in general when it comes to women. You already know how that goes. So if she goes out there, soon as they kick the ball off, is either one or two things going to happen. She can do kickoffs. She kicks the ball off. Then she's going to run immediately off the field. And then other people are going to have problems with that because we got one less person on the field to stop the kickoff return. Or two, when she do field goals, you better not try to break through that line and block it.
But you know what? This is why I don't think it opens the floodgates, because I think it doesn't open the floodgates for individuals like what's the woman, I can't even think of her name. It doesn't open the floodgates for her. I think it opens the floodgates for the women that are already playing football. Like you have a women's professional league.
You're right.
Here locally around the DC area.
I got a question to that, DJ. Why don't she go there?
Say that again?
I got a question. I said, why don't she go to that league?
Okay, first of all, she's not in the DC area.
No, I'm just saying, why don't she go to a female professional league? This is what I'm saying. You're about to answer your question. You're about to answer my question with your answer because you're going to know exactly where I'm coming from. Why does she have to go to the NFL? Why she can't go to a women's professional league if she can kick so well?
We all know what this is about.
Bills already know.
No. I get what you're saying because they've brought it up. Like there was one guy brought it up. I'm like, no, I think who was it that brought it up? Point. I think it's Marcellus Wiley. He brought it up. It's a publicity stunt.
Exactly. And not only that, it goes up against the whole situation to where you have this agenda driven to where women's rights, women equality, all this other. I mean, because I listen to it on sports radio. There's some women that are in sports radio already applauding this stuff, and like I said, I'm gonna take it the next step.
Whoa!
Who's to say? I'm taking the next step. Who's to say that other positions won't be addressed for women to play? What if a woman do decide to play quarterback? What if they decide to play running back?
LT made a better point. He said, I think the bigger issue will be anyone cut her from the team if she sucks. That's going to be the issue because we remember the gay community came out. Michael Sam didn't get a chance at all.
That's another issue. I agree.
I think that's a bigger issue than what happens on the field. I think the bigger issue is if she gets cut.
I think that is
a fair shake.
I think that's a bigger issue when it comes to the whole agenda and equality thing. But I'm not taking nothing away from that. But I'm also asking if they do find somebody who can throw 20 yards, who's the brilliant ass GM and the brilliant ass coach to say, fuck that, we're just going to throw small ball and put her back there. Nobody's going to touch her. We don't have to worry about our quarterback getting sacked.
I mean, it's obviously going to open the floodgates.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, who's to say, like, shit, we'll run straight RPO 5-yard slants all game, and all I know is nobody's going to touch her because the first person who try to sack her, the damn community of those same people that's pushing that agenda will try to get him off the team and out the league because
I think an even bigger issue than that would be this. It opens up the floodgates for other sports.
That too.
Because then if she's included in the sport of all sports in America, then the question is going to be, okay, well, why can't Diana Taurasi go and try out for the NBA? Yes, they have their own league, but where's the line? Where's the stop? It doesn't stop because you're opening up the floodgates by letting her into the National Football League. I don't think there's going to be a line drawn anywhere. Then it's going to be, okay, well, we've already seen, I know y'all don't pay attention to MMA much. There was a champion, Henry Cejudo, who joked and said, I want to get the women's title too. And then the woman responded, well, shit, I'll take you. It's going to get ridiculous. But here's what's going to happen, though. And this is where VF's point comes into play. Mm-hmm. Once it is proven once and for all that women can't compete against men in these sports, that's when shit's going to go sideways.
Except for tennis. But in every other sport with any type of physicality. Oh, and golf.
Golf, yeah. But once, like all these sports with physicality where you're directly competing against somebody, like on soccer. It's going to be, well, in soccer, but soccer's going to get interesting too. Mm-hmm. Because then it's going to be, well, why don't the U.S. women's team play the U.S. men's team?
And volleyball.
Well, I don't know why you were but it's gonna do that because it's like me and my boys were discussing this the other day. I'm just like, even as bad as the U.S. World Cup team is, put them up against the national team women. It's not going to be very nice. But they don't want to accept that. They want to put her in that role where it's like, well, see, she can kick. And then they'll open it up to, okay, well, let's get a quarterback in there. Oh, she got hit too hard. Fuck it. Let's not do that anymore. Let's forget that ever happened.
Trust me, I'm not even talking about that. The guy who hits her is the person who will never play in NFL again.
Of course.
Wait a minute. Hold on. My main concern overall, and just to circle it back, we've all been talking to LT Magic's point. My main issue is that are we going to, and VF, you hit on it, Bills, you hit on it. Are we as like in the NFL, in sports in general that is strictly men, we've established standards and stuff like that. Is it true equality to lower the standards to allow women to play?
Of course not.
In the same league with men.
Of course not.
If that were to happen, then obviously you degrade the game by lowering the standard. Now, it would be better suited that if you can find women that can meet this minimum standard of playing in the NFL, if they can handle the rigors of the league, then they earned it, just like any other.
I get it, DJ. You're absolutely right.
No. I understand that you get it. It's just that at the end of the day, I understand with all these agendas, all these participation trophies type society, PC culture, cancel culture, and all those things. It's just that at the end of the day, true equality is saying that, yes, I'm going to speak from a female's point of view here. Yes, I'm a woman, but I can do what he can do.
Right.
Now, you know,
and not change the goal line so that she can be where he is. She can be where he is with the same standard that he has to put up with.
Now, here's another issue I bring up. How can they possibly make this out not to be an agenda if she cuts the line over other established kickers without a job? That's impossible.
Well, I think the test was Colin Kaepernick, as far as,
of course,
people getting signed before an established, more talented QB for whatever agenda that the league was.
Yeah, it's almost the reverse situation.
I brought up the issue with the NBA saying, well, we eventually want to be 50% men, 50% women in power positions of coaching and things like that. But I'm like, why is that the goal? Is that the goal because you want it to be that way, or is that the goal because they truly
It's the
are
first.
good enough
It's
to?
the first. It's the
That's what
first.
I'm saying. It's like we remember when the women ref was integrated and Chris Paul got a heavy fine and nothing but criticism from the. Of course, sorry ass bitches like Michelle Beadle, who is gonna find herself out in the street pretty soon.
That's already happened. She already got
that
already happened. I was wondering when you was going to say something about that.
She wasn't relevant, and I wasn't just gonna bring her up. She wasn't relevant, so I wasn't gonna bring her up until she's absolutely relevant. But when people like her are criticizing Chris Paul, and all Chris Paul does would criticize her like any other ref, it was automatically back like, why is he coming at her so hard?
But see, that goes exactly what I was saying about women playing football. You can't do the same thing that you would do to a male kicker or any other male player. So with that being said, the brilliant GM or the brilliant coach will say, fuck that. They're not going to do this to her. She can throw the ball 20 yards. I'm putting her in the center. I dare y'all to touch her.
I just look at it, I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to say it differently. Yeah, it's an inspirational story to see your first female play in the league until she gets her head taken off.
Yeah.
I mean, I think back to players like Jackie Robinson who had to integrate the Major League Baseball. The difference was we already know there was an agenda to keep him out, not in.
Right.
Shoot, remember also remember when Michael Jordan was playing baseball?
Yes.
Randy Johnson was the main one that was not impressed at all. He was just like, I'll throw him inside just like anybody else. If he can handle that, and but he's nobody special because he's playing baseball.
And hold on, just think about this. Think about all the criticism that MJ got. He doesn't belong in baseball. Times that by 100 in reverse for Carly Lloyd. Well, why can't she play football?
I remember her name.
Well, why can't she play football? MJ was, nah, you got no business in baseball, son. It's almost like they try to find a reason to keep MJ out. They're trying to find a reason to integrate her into the league.
This is the problem that I'm having with it. It's not the fact that I don't think she can play. I'm looking at it from a bigger picture. Even if she could play, are we honestly going to treat her as if she's another player? I don't.
And I continue to ask, how can she skip the line logically with no past experience of doing this? There's no way you can paint it any other way than an agenda, because you're taking somebody with no experience
but has
over so many other. She has raw skill.
But she has raw skill.
But it's almost like taking Usain Bolt and saying we're going to sign him as a receiver because he's a great sprinter, and you have other receivers out here without a job. Did it?
James Jack couldn't catch, but he could run down the field really fast.
Of course. But I'm saying you take the most popular person in the sport, in this realm, and say you're going to leapfrog those other guys that are established because we know it's big-time numbers the first time Usain Bolt puts on a pair of pads. I don't like that.
Yeah, that's true. I can totally agree with that. I just wanted to add that because I thought it was very interesting. I wanted to put it in the title, but I didn't have enough room. So I just thought last minute maybe we should go ahead and talk about it instead of waiting next week, because next week we'll have a lot more other stuff going on with college.
Yeah, because that was a good topic, because a lot of people had a lot to say about that, and it was just like, I know when I retweeted with my quote and then I corrected it, because when I first retweeted it with what I said, I had the picture on pause. So she was at the 7-yard mark. She like inched up a little bit just to be at the 5. And I was like, okay, so you're around the edge. That's going to get blocked.
Right. And to be honest, even if it does get blocked, it's because you're not doing it the right way. But you do not want to block this kick and hit this woman. I'm sorry. You do not want to do it.
Now, here's the one thing I respect.
Right.
Is she said it would be in 2020. Now, here's the thing. The key is going to be she has to, and I mean this wholeheartedly, has to go through training camp like everybody else. She has to be tested in game situations like everybody. I don't want to see no week 1 walk on. No. You show up to camp, Your ass is gonna run like everybody else, and you're gonna be in a kicking competition. If a unless you play on a team with a kicker so bad, these motherfuckers will take the delivery driver
Like
from
the
the down the street Domino's.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, like Tavecchio right now.
That's what needs to happen. She needs to be in a kicking competition with whoever the established kicker is. Unless there's not an established kicker, then she'll come in and she'll be in a kicking competition with the person that's already there. This needs to happen. There's no week one walk on. We signed her. Boom, she's the starting kicker. No, fuck that. That's clearly an agenda. But if she comes in to a team and she's clearly the better kicker through 4 weeks, fuck it. I'm good with it. But that's the trial period.
My thing is, I have no problem with her making the team or being on the team. I just know the backlash behind it.
You know what this reminds me of? That movie, Necessary Roughness.
Yeah. Yep.
That's where I'm seeing this. I'm seeing the parallels to that, and it's just like, yeah. I'm like, and in that movie, obviously scripted and whatever. I'm like, they have it to where she earns her keep. Didn't she? Because she got blasted in that. In a couple of scenes, and then and that caused her to miss a couple of field goals because it got to her mentally. But eventually, she was able to block that out. She could take a hit, and boom, that was it. Well, she also kicked somebody in the nuts in the movie.
Yeah,
so she got her revenge too. But one more thing that was also impressive about her accuracy. That goalpost was a little bit smaller than the average goalpost. They actually were kicking on a thinner, so she actually nailed it from where she nailed it at with a smaller margin left to right to work with. So I give her that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I think she has the talent. I know that she gets into the league and it's gonna be a problem because the first guy who they're gonna be comparing him to Ray Rice and Kareem Hunt and he hits women
and then on top of that, are you gonna have two kickers on the team? One that does the kickoffs and the other one and
that's what I'm saying.
Kicks the field goals only because they've done that with actual male kickers in the league, and it's just like
because I don't
have an extra running back.
I forgot.
Here's another question.
I forgot Utah was playing tonight.
Here's another question.
My wife's cousin plays for Utah. His name is
That's dope.
Yeah, his last name is Nurse. I can't remember his first name. Jesus Christ.
Here's another question. If they're dumb enough to put her on kickoffs, she's blockable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So if she gets blasted, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see no flags. I don't want to see nothing. If she's about to try to tackle somebody and she gets blocked and they drive her into the ground.
Just like I remember the year the Saints, they had the bounty out on Brett Favre, obviously. Everybody thought he's an old man. Motherfucker, don't step on the field then.
Imagine when Sean Taylor hit Brian Moorman in the
I remember that too.
That's exactly what it would look like.
Of course.
If Farley had to take a hit, it would look exactly like that.
Yes.
I'm like, especially if imagine if they was like had the audacity to call a fake field goal. And she has the ball and is trying and it's like she's sailing in and then boom.
And the first former player to come out and say that's what she signed up for, his ass will be fired.
Done. He's done. Exactly.
Fired.
This is what I'm.
No matter who it is.
This is exactly what I'm saying because even if they try to defend it, the people defend it going down with them. Yeah, that's my issues. Like how well it's going to be received because people heads start rolling left and right because of equality. And to be honest with you, I don't have anything else. Y'all got anything? I think another great podcast.
That was it.
I
got
episode 81. Man, we did another one for you guys. KC Classic, LT Magic. Good to see you guys still hanging around. I thought LT retired from the community. You barely see him on Twitter and everything. KC Classic, he shows his head up every now and then. He shows around. He shows his face every now and then. And but appreciate everybody who came through, man. We continue to do this for y'all, and we'll keep pushing. Bills, you got anything else?
Nah, man. Thanks for everybody coming through. We'll be back at it next week.
Absolutely. Same old, same old. What about you, DJ?
For the day before 2K, mind you.
Oh yeah, exactly. So that's gonna be interesting.
Oh, and NFL kickoff. Oh, we got a good show for y'all.
LT
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Yeah.
LT said he retired. He's coming out of retirement. What about you, DJ? What you got?
Well, I've been streaming on Twitch, so you can pretty much find me on there at. I figured we were gonna do our outros, so I'm surprised Bills didn't plug his
I
his
can't.
upcoming.
I
yeah,
can't.
that's right. You're
Remember, I
restricted.
can't.
It's like
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
so. Okay, so my Twitch channel is D8 DJ. No, it's D8J1. I had to make sure because I flipped the letters around. So I've been streaming on Twitch, mainly No Man's Sky, but I'm gonna probably mix it up a bit because I understand a lot of people are not interested in No Man's Sky. That's a niche game. And then I'm on Twitter. Switch the letters in the middle again. Is DJ81. Then of course here on YouTube, it's my first name. Well, it's my name, Derek Jordan, on YouTube. I've been doing some live streams. I've been doing some tests as of late because I'm thinking about doing a separate, more variety-based podcast. I don't know if I was going to do just straight up uploads, but I tested the OBS just to make sure things are set up. I'm not exactly there yet to say it's a full go, but I'm just going to work with it and see what happens. But, just check out my channel if you like it. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn on the notifications. That's the one thing throughout this whole ever since they switched the algorithms around to YouTube, is to
turn on notifications.
Click the notification. It's also for this channel to click the notifications because I figured that, with how many subscribers you have, BF?
About 336, 337.
That at least 10% could be on here. So like almost every time. So it's just like, I think a lot of times it's the notification bell no one's
right. And it really helps, and I'm not really used to the notification thing. I'm from the older
I'm way behind on that.
Yeah, I'm from the older generation of YouTube. But even with the live streams, I put them up early to let people know that we're about to do one. The notifications will help, big time.
Mm-hmm.
But Bills, did you do your outro yet? Because I can't remember.
No, remember he's on lockdown.
You can follow me at Bills4th on Twitter, and no point in plugging my channel because I don't post on there anymore. And you'll be hearing some music from me in the near future, but right now I'm on a bit of a restriction, so you're just gonna have to bear with me. I'm getting some things in order, trying to get myself label ready. So right now, I'm very restricted, but it's big things coming, man. It's big things coming.
Yeah. Okay, so that'll work. I don't have anything, man. Just check us out every Thursday. We're still in the process of talking about what days we may expand. So if we do, we definitely let you guys know. As far as what I'm doing, I got a few other videos that are one halfway done. One is going to get done because I'm definitely going to do the updated rosters for NCAA 14. I'm going to finish up on episode 7 of the Madden series, and I'm going to do some more, on-camera videos as well because I like the reception I got from that last video. So definitely look out for all of that, and we're going to keep bringing you all the content in the best way we know how. So,
and one last thing.
What's up?
I want to make sure I plug Big Zay Max music. Go check him out. It's got some good sounds. And go check him out. Give him a listen on Spotify. Guaranteed some good music on there.
Yeah, definitely, guys. He's a friend of mine. I can call himself a friend, I guess. He makes some really good music. I don't have his Twitter link right now, but definitely just Google go on Twitter and search Big Zay Mac, Z-A-Y Mac. Check that out. Definitely really good music. Real good music. I highly recommend it. I told DJ about it, and he loves the music. So, and also check out Bill's. I think Bill's still on SoundCloud, so you know where to find him as well. So that's it. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace out.
And this broadcast always takes forever to end.